I look like I feel. Can I get this? I can't. That's not even a mirror image. So like to find the hair. Yeah, that's as good as it's gonna get, folks. That's where we're at today. Hmm. Yeah, look at that. Oh, wrong eyebrow. See, it's like looking in a mirror that shows you what other people see instead of you in the mirror. It's like trying to be the weatherman and use the blue screen all over the place. So what's up, everybody? We are live and in effect, and it is, what is it, March 25th? March 25th, and we're all in the time warp. And so small talk before people, we'll let people file in before we jump into today's topic. But I do have notes. I do have notes on today's topic. I came up with a way to create thumbnails and notes and kind of organize my thoughts and just, like I found some time that works good for that. And so I have kept up with, I've got a number of live stream topics already kind of mapped out, a bunch of them. If you were here for the members only live stream last weekend, I gave everybody a little preview of that. But if you weren't, then, you're just not in the club. That is the members only live stream, where what happens in the members only live stream stays in the members only live stream because live Las Vegas rules apply on Sundays. That might actually be switching to Tuesdays, making some adjustments to my rhythm and schedule. And Tuesday might turn out to be a better day to do that. Tuesday at 6 p.m. members only, Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central Time for everybody else. What up? So I'm just going to do the small talk section of this show while people are filing in. So, don't go anywhere. If you came to see what we were, what the thumbnail says we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about it in great detail. But right now, there's this thing called Mercury retrograde. You may or may not know about this, but I'm telling you, this thing is still in full effect in my life. For those of you who don't know what Mercury retrograde means, I'm not really into the horoscopes or like tarot cards or palm reading and witchcraft and magic rocks and bullshit. But I'm not kidding you. If I know that Mercury retrograde is around the corner, I start to get terrified, because it's one thing that actually comes true to what they say is going to happen every single fucking time. Every single time. I hate it. Absolutely hate this. Every single time Mercury retrograde happens, I guess it's where like Mercury and the zodiac and the stars, it like moves backwards instead of the path that it normally takes. And I guess this happens a few times a year if you're into all that mumbo jumbo. But what it really means is that your life is about to go fucking haywire. Every single thing that you own that's electronic will start fucking up and glitch out. Everything that you like, miscommunication, errors, problems, just random things will constantly grind at you for the entire time that this thing is going on. And supposedly it ended on March 20th, but you still have to, they say you got to give it like 3 more weeks for everything, for the magic juice of Mercury or whatever, the magic rock in the sky to make everything better or whatever. So it's probably like going to be, like the middle of April, things will smooth out. And I don't pay that much attention to this crap. But sometime in March, I was saying to myself, my God, it's like we're in Mercury retrograde or something, because I was having so many problems with electronics and glitches and things like that. It was way beyond what you would normally experience in a given span of time. Like every single electronic device that I own completely glitching out and flaking out and having nothing but problems. And all of a sudden I'm watching a random video on YouTube and it said, well, because we're in Mercury retrograde right now. And I'm like, well, fucking A. That explains it. That's why everything's fucking up. And it is nonstop. Like last week before the live stream on Wednesday, my Mac completely froze 10 minutes before going live. Right after I had all the windows open, all the things queued up that I need to queue up. You know, I've got, what do you call it? Keynote and Notion, and I've got the web browser open that I run the live stream in, then this app called OBS, and then Brave, where I have different where I look up. If I share my screen and I'm looking something up on the internet, that's the browser I'm using for that. And just a bunch of random stuff. I was literally putting in the last random window that I opened for the live stream, and boom, the Mac froze. Had to reboot it, like a hard, cold reboot. And I got it all up and running like 1 minute before going live. And then, like this week, this app, OBS, that I use for the camera, the thing that I use to switch between the two cameras and screen share and all that stuff, that app magically updated itself right before the stream today. And the whole app was all jacked and all haywire and all messed up before going live. And I had to sit there and tinker with that and get that back to the way it was supposed to be. Then this Logitech app that this camera uses, this camera that I'm looking at you with right now, and there's a light behind it that also goes along with that camera. And I can just kind of show you what that does right here. If I open up this app and I turn the light off, you can see that the lighting's not so good. So I got a fill light in front of me, and it's kind of bright, and it's kind of obnoxious and annoying to sit here in front of these bright lights for 3 hours. But it is what it is. And so that borked, and I had to fix that. I had to fix that app because it magically updated itself right before today's show, and it wasn't working right. And so I had to screw around with that. Like I said, every single electronic device I own has glitched out hard this month. My heart rate monitor for the gym stopped working one day. I fixed it. My wireless headphones stopped working one day. I fixed them. My phone has been giving me all kinds of crap. This microphone, that microphone, the microphone that I use for to recording the videos outside, that glitched out. Like every single thing. Nothing unrepairable, nothing like a crisis mode needed to go back to an Amazon return or anything like that, but just nonstop problems, nonstop. The whole, starting right at the day that they say Mercury retrograde went into effect, everything has gone haywire. And it's grinding me. It's grinding my gears. It's getting under my skin. And I'm ready for this one to be done. And then I went and checked because I wasn't sure. I'm like, it was an electronic malfunction when my Volkswagen broke down last fall. And I couldn't get it fixed. It broke down towards the end of October. And I swear I could not get the damn car fixed until a couple of weeks before Christmas. Like maybe 2 weeks before Christmas. And so I looked. Mercury retrograde was from November 9th through November 29th last year. Plus, you got to give it like a 2-week window leading up to it and a 2-week window after Mercury retrograde for everything to stop glitching out. And that's the same period of time that my car was flaking out and not starting and going haywire, and finally got to the point where it wouldn't start at all. And that whole thing. And then as soon as Mercury retrograde was over, they were able to fix my car. And I'm like, that is fucking wild, because that was stressing me out way beyond. That was way more stressful than all the stuff I'm dealing with this month combined. So that car situation was wild, and that was way worse than what I'm dealing with right now. But another example, today, technically yesterday, but I found out today. I ordered a couch. The one thing for my apartment here, all I have to sit on is a beat up old camp chair, and it sucks. And so I wanted to put a couch in this space. but it has to fit exactly. And everything in this place is very precisely measured. I have to like be real careful about what I do in my space here because I only have this much space. So I ordered a couch that was 63 inches wide and an end table that's tall, just as tall as my bed, because I have a really tall bed. So I have storage underneath it. And it's 14 inches wide, but it's as tall as my bed. And so the couch and that end table will fit precisely in the space that I have available for it. The TV will be exactly centered where the couch is going. Like it's all kind of perfectly figured out. So I ordered this on Amazon and they gave me like a monthly installment plan. So I didn't have to pay for it all at once. And it's one of these couches in a box. It's called the boneless couch, where you open up the box and you slice the package open and the thing just goes boom and it fills up your room. I did that with my bed. That bed is actually really comfortable and it's a really solid mattress and it's got springs in it and foam and everything else. And so for what it was, it came in this tiny little box. You'd like, wow, they put a bed in there. You open that thing and it just went boom and fills up the whole bedroom. Like, okay, make sure you're not, make sure you got the space laid out where you need to open that thing because you ain't getting it back in. It's like trying to you ever buy a tent and then try to put the tent back in the tent bag that it came in. And you're like, how the fuck did they even get it in the bag in the first place after you're done camping? It's like that, but 100 times worse. So I got this email this morning about the couch. It said, your 72-inch couch is on the way. And I'm like, what do you mean my 72-inch couch? I'm like, what the fuck? So I go back and sure enough, the order form says 72-inch couch. But the thing that I clicked on said 63-inch boneless couch, blah, blah, blah. And I ordered it thinking it was 63 inches. And somehow Amazon flipped it around and sent me the 72-inch one. Well, that's not going to fit. It's only what is it? A 72, that's a 9-inch difference in the couch width, but that makes it not fit. And so now I'm like, shit, what do I do? So I tried to get on. I tried to get on with Amazon's chat. Amazon's customer service is going downhill like a rocket ship. They just fired like 32,000 programmers to replace them with AI. Now, AI writes all the code for Amazon's website and app. Humans aren't even writing the code anymore. And now they're just replacing humans with chatbot when you need customer service. And it's getting bad. And so I had to like click this button called Rufus. I had to go through hell just to try and talk to somebody from fucking India, but I'll get to that in a second. Basically, if I open the box that this couch comes in, it's over. I can't return it. So I had to figure out how, so I ordered the correct one and it's supposed to be here everything's supposed to arrive Friday sometime all together, all in one delivery, including the new couch that I just ordered. But I had to get online with Ranjit or Sanjay or whoever from India just to make sure that I want to make sure I can take the couch that doesn't fit right back to Whole Foods and get my return processed on Friday. Like I'm going to unbox it all. I'm going to set it all up. You got to wait for the couch to kind of inflate over time. Like the bed was like that too. I had to wait a little while for the bed to kind of it blows up with all the springs and stuff, but all the foam takes a minute to puff out when you open the box for the first time. So it's like that with these couches too. And it's going to look sad and tired until it's had a minute to breathe. So I'm going to set all the stuff up and then run over to Whole Paycheck Foods and do an Amazon return. And, maybe I can, since I'm at Whole Foods, maybe I can go get some organic Brussels sprout juice or, some other crap while I'm there. Who knows? I don't know if you've had the organic Brussels sprout juice, but tastes about as bad as it sounds. I had some organic juice from Whole Foods on a bike ride once. It tasted like I was a cow drinking grass water. It was so bad. It was like if you could take grass, put it in a juice press, and make juice out of grass. That's what it tasted like. Oh. So anyway, this new Amazon CEO is a piece of shit. I can totally see what's going on there. I've seen large companies go totally off the rails just because a new CEO takes over. And you can see it happening with Amazon for sure. It's the one position in the company that can have a cascading effect across the entire company's culture and everything the company stands for, just because one person starts making decisions differently than the guy who was there before. And you can say what you want about Jeff Bezos. He's a dick. He's a fucking asshole, scumbag. Like, I have nothing nice to say about him, but the one thing he was obsessed with in terms of running his companies, not just Amazon, but any company that guy ran, he was extremely obsessed with customer service. And that's why Amazon did as good as they did. And that's why they got so big, because the customer service was better than anywhere else in terms of ordering stuff online. And now they have basically what amounts to an online shopping monopoly for all intent and purposes. You know, it's kind of like how YouTube has a monopoly on video content online. You know, they're not the only place that you can go, but they, you know, if you want anybody to see a video that you make, you pretty much have to put it there or nobody's ever going to see it. So they have a monopoly oriented CEO at Amazon he's turned Amazon into a company that's too big to care. Like I said, they're getting rid of all the programmers and having AI bots write all the freaking code. And why they're getting rid of customer service? Why? Because go fuck yourself. That's why. They're too big. They don't give a shit about you anymore. The AI bot wrote bad code that caused 1 million people's orders to disappear. 1 million orders. It ended up being something like $100 million error. That's what it cost in lost orders. And they didn't give a fuck. Instead of like having people come back and fix it, they programmed another AI bot to babysit the AI bot that wrote the bad code. $100 million down the toilet, and they didn't even give a fuck. That's how big they are. How many companies out there struggle for decades just to reach the point where they're making $100 million in a year? And Amazon looks at $100 million like, who cares? It's $100 million. Who gives a fuck? That's how big they are, and that's how much they don't care. They're running on the Google model now. I don't know if you've ever tried reaching a human being at Google, but good fucking luck if you ever need to do that. You won't. They don't have a fucking phone number. There's no human being that's going to talk to you about anything at Google. They don't give a shit about you. And even if you do get, and in these companies, these big companies, even if you do get a human being anymore, you all know it's going to be some dipshit from India or Bangladesh or Timbuktu reading a bunch of crap from a screen to you, you know. Thank you for calling AD&D. My name is Ranjit, and I will need you to try unplugging the device and plugging it back in, and rest assuredly that you will assuredly have customer service and assurance today. Like, that's what you're going to be like, what the fuck did you even say to me, Ranjit? I can't understand you. That's why I have to do the online chat, because at least they can type better English than, at least I can kind of understand what's going on. So on Amazon, a little handy tip. I'm just going to go there. I'll share my screen. Give me a second here. You got to go up here. Let's do it. I'll show you how to do it right here. You go up to the top. I'll zoom in. You see this button called Rufus right here. And like, what the fuck, dude? Rufus? Who comes up with the names of these AI bots anyway, man? Like, they got, every AI chat bot has to have a stupid name now, like a nerdy ass name, like Rufus or Claude, or Samsung had this one they were trying to put out called Bixby. And I'm like, you know what? Who comes up with this shit? If your name was, before I even do this, if your name was Bixby in Generation X grade school, you were getting the living shit kicked out of you every fucking day in school. Just because your parents were assholes and named you Bixby. You never got any pussy if your name was Bixby, unless you got your MBA and founded your first tech startup, made your first million, and went out and bought yourself a McLaren after the fact. And even then, just like all those gold digger videos on YouTube, the girl whose number you asked for told you to fuck off, Bixby, until she saw you get into your car. And then she's all like, oh, wait, is that your car? Ooh, I want to go for a ride. Well, you told me you had a boyfriend. I don't have a boyfriend now. Fucking Rufus, man. A cartoon dog could be named Rufus. Like, like a smart cartoon dog who solves crimes and shit. That could be called Rufus. Rufus. Right? Like, what about the take a bite out of crime dog? Remember that was his name, Rufus, back in the day? That, I haven't seen that fucking dog in years. You know what I'm talking about? Take a bite out of crime. Like, that guy could be named Rufus. But anyway, let's go back to Amazon here. You hit this Rufus button in the top corner, right? It's right here. You hit that. I'm going to ask Rufus a question. Speak to a human. Thinking, checking our programs and policies. Speak to it. Oh, here we go. Customer service chat. And now it's gonna still try and derail me. There's no button anywhere in the Amazon app anywhere to talk to a human being. This is the only way I could figure out how to get it. Welcome to customer. Now we're still talking to a bot. So we'll just go copy and paste. Speak to a human. And it's still going, yes, I want to speak to a customer service associate. Got it. We can still solve a lot. So it's still trying to tell me no. Connect with a customer service associate. Sorry, but it looks like you're going to have to wait a bit to talk to someone over the phone. If you need, you can chat with an associate. Yes, chat with an associate. This fucking bot will sit there and try to keep you from being able to talk to a human being. Here we go. Connecting to an associate. Wow, dude. Deshawantha. How the fuck do you even pronounce this? Deshanthony Quandral has joined the chat. Wow, dude. All right. Hello there. You are speaking with even it can't. He made a cute little kitty face with his question marks and symbols there. Deshanthony Quandral. Are you a human being? Or another chat bot? Are you a human being or another Amazon chat bot? Let's see if holy shit. How do you even pronounce that name, dude? Like, this is why, if I can't even pronounce the guy's name, how would I be able to speak to him over the phone? I am human. Smiley face. All right. I'm going to peace out on this. But that's the quickest way to get to a human being. Just spam that motherfucker. Human being, human being, human being, human being, human being, until the thing glitches out and finally puts you to a human being. And that's the way you do it. If you're on telephone hell and it won't let you talk to a human, just start yelling, human, 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 person, human. Just start yelling at it. If that doesn't work, the other thing I do is I pick up the touchpad and I just start going and just hit 30 different buttons on the touchpad, and that will glitch out the system and it'll say, oh, let me try and connect you with somebody who can help. And it's like, you could have just given me an option to dial 9 or 8 to talk to a person, but no, you couldn't do that. So I had to yell at the robot for 5 minutes, and that didn't work. So my last resort was just hit a bunch of random fucking buttons until the computer don't know what to do. But that's how you do it. If you ever need to talk to Ranjit over in Pakistan or wherever the fuck he's from, Deshwami, Cure or whatever the fuck that guy's name was. Fuck, dude. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. You just say, chat with a human, 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 human. But I mean, honestly, sometimes the human beings that you talk to might just be a chat bot with a name from India to try and trick you into thinking it's an actual human being when it's not. I mean, they're doing AI job interviews now. Like they're literally doing job interviews now with AI bots. So you get your job interview and you get your job interview and you show up for your Zoom meeting for your job interview, and it's an AI bot. It's like the Chat GPT bot with a glowing ball like HAL 9000 asking you a bunch of fucking questions for your job interview, and you're supposed to have a conversation with this thing. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here with that. If I showed up to a job interview and it's a chat bot, a robot doing the job interview, I am going to do nothing but troll that fucking thing. And hopefully I might actually pull out a video camera and be like, watch this, guys, and do a video of it for you guys. But there's no fucking way I'm doing a job interview with a robot. No fucking way. That should tell you right away. I'd rather be homeless than do a job interview with a fucking robot. If that's what it takes, if that's the difference between me being homeless, I've already been homeless. I know I can do it. So fuck it. If my choice is job interview with AI chat robots or being homeless, I've made my fucking decision. Hopefully it don't come to that. The job market is shit right now if you got to have a job interview with a fucking robot before you ever get to talk to a human being. Oh, and we're going to dig deep into this topic today. Whew. But that's just going to tell you right away that that's a shitty company to work for. It's definitely not somebody you want to work for. And speaking of the shittiest CEO of all time, about fucking Donald Trump, man. My God, dude, when you thought that this stupid orange buffoon couldn't stab his supporters in the back any more than he already has, he's done it again. He's done it again. I do like, though, Donald, let me look this up so you can see it. I was not prepared to show you this, but this is only going to take me about it's only going to take me about 10 seconds to pull up. I've been seeing these show up at the gas pumps all fucking week. I ran your gas prices up. I love it, man. And all the all these dumbass red hat retarded MAGA cult members are pissed off. That's like, he did it. He ran our gas up. Double. Fuck, every time I go to the end of my street, there's a gas station at the end of my street. Every fucking time I go to the end of the street and see the gas price, it's up 10 cents more than it was the last time I was at the end of the street. It's gone up from like $2 up to like $3.70 now per gallon. And I'm in Texas where it's a little bit cheaper. I mean, forget California. If you're going to have to ride a bicycle from now on if you live there. It's probably $25 a gallon now in Gavin Newsom's state. But I was one of the people putting up the Joe Biden gas pump stickers. And if I had a supply of Donald Trump gas pump stickers, I would be putting them on the fucking gas pumps, but I'm not going to buy them. When I had the Joe Biden ones, somebody gave me a roll of Joe Biden gas pump stickers and said, have at it. I was like, damn right I'll have at it. In fact, it got so bad that the gas stations started putting they started spraying like WD-40 and shit on the gas pumps, like, and wiping down the fucking gas pumps with like WD-40 or Triflow or any kind of like spray lubricant to keep the Joe Biden stickers from sticking to the gas pumps. Like, they were covering the gas pumps with all kinds of chemicals, trying to keep people from being, because then you'd stick your Joe Biden sticker up there and it would just fall off. you couldn't get them to stick if they coated the gas pumps with that shit. So you'd have to get creative. You'd have to stick it to the handle of the gas pump. You'd have to stick it to the fucking post next to the gas pump. You'd have to find a place with a dry enough surface to put the Joe Biden sticker up. But now it's Donald Trump stickers. Same shit, different boss at this point. But Donald Trump, he's the biggest fucking traitor to the United States since Benedict Arnold. But I love me them gas pumps. That's really great. It's hysterical. But if you didn't think this dumbass buffoon could stab America in the back any harder than he has, he just announced today that he's appointing Mark Zuckerberg, the same guy who kicked him off of Facebook, to be in charge of some science and technology advisory board for the fucking government. You know, the same Mark Zuckerberg that kicked you off of Facebook if you complained about the stolen election. Yeah, what could possibly go wrong now? Like, dude, that motherfucker Donald Trump has completely played this country. I mean, it must have been the fucking Trump card. I mean, boom, right? It must have been the Trump card. Didn't Mark Zuckerberg kick Donald Trump off of Facebook? At this point, I'm at the point right now in terms of this shit show that we're living through right now. I would rather have creepy Joe Biden back in the White House sniffing children at this point than this fucking stupid orange buffoon, because he's off the fucking rails and nobody knows what the hell he's going to do next. You know, Trump is so bad, he makes retarded people seem like they aren't even fucking retarded anymore when you compare them with him. So, fuck, dude. This dude is off his fucking rocker. Trump appointing Zuckerberg to a government post makes about as much sense as Donald Trump shutting down the investigation of his own assassination attempt. I mean, that should have told you right there that when the president doesn't even want to know who tried to fucking kill him, that he either knows who tried to kill him, you know, that's the truth, or that the whole thing was staged, right? We all know who tried to kill him. The same people that are making him fight a war for you know, Israel. Let's just call turd a turd at this point. But anyway, that does lead well into the topic at hand today, and that is the title of today's episode was Out the Door for More, with the topic being why you should never stay at your job and take that 2 or 3% raise versus the 30% pay increase that you can get by job hopping. You know, that 3%, that 2% raise that you get every year, that's not even covering the cost of living increases that you're seeing right now. Groceries. You can't afford groceries. Well, you're definitely not going to ever be able to afford groceries if you stay at your job with your 2% pay increase. The cost of groceries goes up 20%, 30% every year. The cost of gas just doubled in the span of 2 weeks. You think your 2% raise at your job is good? You can't even keep up with inflation with that shit. I mean, are you tired of busting your ass to get a measly 2, maybe 3% raise that doesn't even beat inflation? Or, you know, like, or do you want to do better with your life? You know, the companies, pretty much every big company out there, if you stay, now my best friend, he just got his raise, his annual performance review or whatever at his job, and he got a 2% raise. And now he's not like completely miserable. He's not totally upset. He never took that job with the caveat that he was going to get, you know, climb the ranks or whatever. He's just, you know, it's good money. 2% raise, fine, it's more money. Like, if he knows that if he wants to get a better gig, he'll have to go out and find another place to work. And he's got reasons to stay. His boss just got whacked, so He might be on the chopping block just because of that some point in the future that happens. But that's another, like, we might not even get into that part of this topic today, to be honest. That might be the HR live stream where we talk about HR assholes. But anyway, after the company has already decided what they're going to give you for a raise. 2%, maybe 3%. That's about it. And that performance review, it's just theater. It's just a bunch of fake bullshit. They're just calling you into an office to tell, oh, you did a great job, or, you need to improve this or whatever the fuck. But they didn't even have to give you a review to know what they were going to do with your pay. Everybody gets a 2% raise unless you're a schlep who's going to get kicked out the door soon with the next culling of the herd, and then you get nothing. So, but the executives who make all these decisions, they give themselves a 30% increase every year in their pay. If the title has C and 2 more letters next to it, CEO, CFO, CMO, CFO, a CTO, CSO, Chief Security Officer, Chief Technology Officer, Chief Financial Officer, Chief Operating Officer, COO, Chief Executive Officer, CEO, Chief Marketing Officer. If it's one of those titles, they're giving themselves a 30% pay increase year after year while you get 2. And it don't matter how good of a job you did. It don't matter if the person next to you does the bare minimum just to keep their job and you work 120 hours a week and bust your ass and get results. You both got a 2% raise. Why? Because fuck you, that's why. They don't care about you. I'll just, my insane career, the roller coaster ride that I went on until the FBI drove a tank into my house proves it. It's part of the proof. I started my career in 1996, making $7.50 an hour as a 1099 contractor, which means I paid double the income tax that you'd pay if I made $7.50 an hour as an employee of a company. And they wouldn't do shit. They wouldn't give me a raise. When I threatened to leave, when I told them that I was leaving to move to Pittsburgh, they begged me to stay. They offered me 107% pay increase to stay. The whole time I'm there, busting my ass, 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, asking for a little bump, just a little bump. Nothing. Threatened to leave. I was holding the keys to a lot of shit. You tell them you're going to leave, all of a sudden, oh, we can give you 107% pay increase. I still bounced. I still left. I went to another company. And so, yeah, $7.50 an hour. That's $15,000 a year. And I told you, they wouldn't give me a raise until I was leaving. But when I was leaving, when I told them I was leaving, they were like, oh, we'll give you $15 an hour. All of a sudden. Oh, nothing I did to bust my ass and do a good job, and none of that shit did a damn thing until I said I'm out the door. Oh, now we can double your pay. $15 an hour. Will that make you stay? I mean, my stepdad taught me how to play this game with these fucking companies. And, my blue collar family would have never been able to teach me shit like this. It was my stepdad who worked in the suit. He wore a fucking suit to work every day with a shirt, a tie, full on suit. So he was the one who taught me how to deal with these companies and their bullshit more than, my blue collar family would have just, they would have just said shit like, be loyal, work hard, an honest day's work for an honest day's pay, and blah, blah, fucking blah, and all that bullshit. It's bullshit. That's why they're stuck in the blue collar. And I'm not saying that blue collar work is shit work. People get mad at me. They get real offended when I say that. You can make $1 million a year as an auto mechanic. That's a blue collar job. You can make I know mechanics that make $1 million a year who are fucking auto mechanics. Why? because they got off their ass. They had the motivation and the wherewithal and the entrepreneurship to build their own business, open their own garage, and bust their fucking ass until they had employees and so many cars that they can't fix them all themselves. And now they're making $1 million a year running an auto garage that they own. And the employees are the ones that make 15, 20 bucks, whatever it is, 50 an hour, whatever they get paid. So there's nothing wrong with, you could be an electrician making hundreds of thousands a year. You could be you could work on a fucking oil rig making six figures. There's I'm not talking about the job. I'm talking about the mentality that keeps you locked in at McDonald's wages at some shitty ass job where you punch a time clock every day instead of elevating your life to where you don't have to do that shit anymore. And it's a big difference. I mean, just look at these companies. Look at all the things that the big companies do to keep your wages suppressed, right? We got Walmart and Amazon and Target, all these big companies, like the union busting. Unions are a blue collar thing where all the blue collars get together and demand better pay and benefits. And, you know, if I get sick, I want to go to the hospital and have a doctor look at me, not go fuck yourself, you piece of shit. Why didn't you come into work today? Because I can't afford to go to the fucking hospital, you fucking scumbags, right? That's what they want to do to you. They don't want you to have any. They don't even want you to have health insurance. They don't want you to be part of a union. That's why they do union busting at all these companies, and they go after and they try to stop unions from forming. All these companies, oh, Obama came along and, oh, he's going to fix healthcare. Well, he made healthcare so expensive that your premiums went up by double or triple, yet they cut your benefits by more than half, gave you a $6,000 a year deductible so that the health insurance doesn't pay for anything unless you can pay $6,000 out of your pocket first. And then he turned around and said, oh yeah, by the way, if you can't afford health care, we're going to make you pay a fine. Haha, fuck you, America, right? Fuck you, America. So now these companies, because one of the things with Obamacare is if you work 40 hours a week, I actually think it's 35. Even if you're part-time, you're considered to be full-time, and the company is required to give you health insurance or at least offer you health insurance at that point. So instead, the companies are like, fuck those motherfuckers, fuck those peasants, those fucking scumbag employees. We'll just hire everybody to work 20 hours a week. And we'll just hire twice as many people and only let them work 20 hours instead of 40 hours. That way, we don't have to pay their health care. And that's what it is now. So all these shit-ass blue-collar jobs, you can't even get a full-time job anymore because the companies don't offer it anymore. So you got to get 2 shitty-ass jobs, maybe 3 shitty-ass jobs where you work 15, 20 hours a week at each one and have to juggle all that fucking shit just to barely make enough money to survive, and you still don't have fucking health insurance. So, and then you've got corporate welfare. These companies, they figured out how little they can get away with paying you. So like Walmart employees, they get paid so little that they actually go on food stamps and welfare. So the taxpayers are subsidizing the Walmart employees so that the Walmart employees can survive on the piddly ass wages that they make. They get health insurance from the government because they're poor. They get on the food stamps. They're getting welfare based on the money they don't make at Walmart. And then where are they spending most of that fucking money when they got to go grocery shopping? Where's the food stamp money's going right back into the Walton family's pocketbook. So they're paying their company shit wages so that the taxpayers and the government have to foot their food bill to pay for their fucking groceries. And then they come to Walmart and buy all their fucking groceries because they probably get some sort of discount. So the Walton family gets all your food stamp money too. It's like going to the company store. And so, fuck, man. I mean, we could talk about the company store all day, man. Glenn, what are you saying? There's no loyalty in companies. You're better off operating entirely by yourself on word of mouth. There's no companies. I'm not loyal to any fucking company ever. I'll never be. I never have been. I never will be. I saw too many things when I was a kid at how companies turned on people, big companies that used to be really good to work for. You know, my grandfather worked for General Foods for like 25, 30 years. He got a gold watch and a pension, got to fucking retire and all this other shit. He got rewarded for putting in the work. And then my mom, next generation, she's working at Kodak. They're doing a bunch of layoffs. They went after everybody who was 3 months away from full retirement benefits and told them to hit the curb, kicked them to the curb 3 months away from their 25th anniversary where they qualified for retirement benefits, and told them to go pound sand and go fuck off and die. After you just gave 25 years of your life, 30 years of your life to that fucking scumbag company, and then they kicked you to the fucking curb with nothing. When you were you were 3 months away from getting your full retirement package and everything that you had signed up for, and decided that it might be worth giving away 30 years of your fucking life for, and then they tell you to go eat a dick and fucking die. Fuck that. You think I'm going to be loyal to anybody like that? Ever? Fuck no. Fuck no. And if put this shit on LinkedIn, I don't give a fuck. I will put this video on LinkedIn myself. I'll make a little short for it. I will never be loyal to any fucking company I work for unless they are loyal to me in some, like, you never know what you're going to get when you work for a small company, a startup kind of company, or a small company of like maybe 20 people or less. You might have a chance at a small company of finding a good place to work that actually treats people like human beings. But if you work at a company that calls them human resources, then see, human resources is a term that they came up with so that they don't have to call you people anymore or human beings anymore. It's the same thing they did to like the Jews in Nazi Germany, or can I say the N word? You know, the slave owners, they weren't people. They were just, you know, the N word. They weren't, because that's what they did so that they could whip them, make them do a bunch of slave work, feed them a bunch of fucking pig intestines at the end of the day, and, you know, put chains around them and make sure they don't run away. And they're not people because they're just the N word. Same thing with Nazi Germany. The Germans didn't care about what happened because, oh, they're just the fucking Jews. Who cares? Who cares? They're just a bunch of fucking Jews. They're not people anymore. They dehumanize you. The companies are doing the same thing. It used to be called personnel, which has the word person in it, which still implies that you're a human being. Now it's human resources. You're just you're cattle. You're a fucking cow in a barn with a thing hooked up to your tit squirting out some fucking milk. And they come in every now and then and dump some shitty ass corn in a trough. And that's what you are to them. You're just human cattle. You're cattle. Human resource. A resource to be used and tossed away when it's used up. They don't give a fuck about you. You're not a human being anymore. You're a human resource. You're not even a person anymore at that point. Going back to the company store, Disney, they got a real good scheme going that they've been running for years. If you've ever been to Epcot Center in Disney World, they got all these different areas that represent a country of the world. They've got the China section, the Switzerland section. They've got the Morocco section, and I don't know, probably 20 other places. And each little section, the rides, the restaurants, all the stuff in that section is representative of the country that you're visiting. And the whole thing about Epcot Center is you can visit 20 different countries while you walk around like the Griswold family with your family all day. And so to stock each country section, their uniforms and the clothing that they wear is representative of that culture. You know, so that, the Chinese have a pointy hat, and, you know, they walk around dressed up like fucking ninjas and shit. And then you got, you know, the Switzerland, they have the women they're running around in lederhosen or whatever, the Germany Switzerland theme or whatever. and they got a Viking one, like Iceland or something. Everybody has a fucking Viking hat on and all that shit. Well, they actually bring the people in. They bring teenagers to Epcot Center every summer from their respective countries to work at Epcot Center as, like, you know, for the summer. It's like a fun, it's an internship kind of a thing, but you're paid or whatever. Yeah, you're paid or whatever. But what they do is they put these kids up in Disney housing. There's an apartment buildings or a block of apartments, communist apartment block somewhere on the Epcot Disney World campus. Disney World in Florida is fucking huge. It's like the size of a county. They have their own police, their own fucking court system. Like, it's crazy. Like, Goofy's the fucking judge if you get a speeding ticket. Well, you're going 5 miles over the limit. $100 fine. Right? Fucking Donald Duck is the prosecutor. Right? Fuck, dude. They run that whole town. It's huge. So there's like some communist block of apartments that they put these kids in that come from other countries. They have to pay rent to Disney for those apartments. So Disney's paying these kids to work at Epcot, and then they're taking the money right back for the housing fee. And then the kids have to eat, and they have to buy food and other things that they might need, like a sweater. Maybe it's cold in Orlando on a certain day or whatever. The only place that they can go and spend their money is Disney World. So and Disney has this shit all calculated out so that they pay these kids, but they know that every single dollar that they pay these kids is coming right back into Disney. So they basically got slave labor, indentured servitude, free unpaid labor for the whole summer from these dumbass kids who come to Disney World for the summer to do this, and they go home with nothing in their pocket because Disney paid them and then took back. The money may as well have fucking Mickey Mouse in the middle. And like, that should be just Goofy bucks. And, you know, like a dollar has Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse is on the dollar bill, and Donald Duck is on the $5 bill, and Goofy's on the $10 bill, and Pluto's on the $20 bill, and all that shit going all the way up. They should just give you Disney bucks because that's basically what happens. You get paid by them, and then you spend all the fucking money that you make right back to Disney, and it ends up just going right back in their pocket. So the only thing it costs Disney is how much it costs them to feed you. And so, and they get free labor all summer long from all these dumbass kids that sign up for this shit. And so, but, you know, this is what you're doing. These are the companies that you work for, and these are the companies that you're supposed to be loyal to. And, you know, and you watch everybody, and you say, if you're one of these people that thinks you're going to stay at one of these companies for 10 years, 20 years, and, you know, get treated like you deserve, you're just going to watch everybody around you who breaks those rules. You know, be loyal, work hard, be on time, all this fucking bullshit they tell you. You're going to watch everybody who breaks those rules start making real money and having real success in their life, while you're stuck with your shitty 2% pay raise, even though inflation's like 10 or 15%, maybe 30% that year. Who fucking knows? And then instead of learning from that, you just get pissed off. And maybe not you, not you people watching, but just, you know, I know people who have done this, and I'm thinking about them right now. And instead of learning from watching other people and what they do to climb the ladder and get where they need to go, they just get pissed off and angry, and they get jealous at the people who played the game and climbed the ladder by doing what we were told not to do. And it's like, bitch, don't hate the player, hate the fucking game. You may have heard that saying once or twice in your life. It applies to the workforce just as much as it applies to the dating world. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Because if you play the game and you climb to the top, then what, you know, you didn't lose. If you play by the rules and they keep you at the bottom of the barrel, that's your problem at that point. Because, I mean, you can do this. Anybody can do this. Take off your little blue collar shirt with the oval patch that says Sam and cursive letters on it or whatever, and put on some real clothes and get out there and do it. Like this is accessible to anybody, especially anybody who's not in my predicament with a felony conviction case from the federal government for putting dumb shit on Twitter. And like I said before, a blue collar job is not the same as a blue collar mentality. The blue collar mentality is where you just accept things the way they are, punch your time clock, go home, put your TV dinner in the microwave, sit on your lazy boy watching sports ball, drinking beer until you go to bed, wake up tomorrow and do it again. Because like I said, I know auto mechanics who make $1 million a year. Why? Because they went and worked their way up to owning a fucking garage and having their own employees. The employees don't make $1 million a year, but they can if they follow that same path. They can do that someday. It's the employees that decide they're fine with, do you think that the auto mechanics that I know who make $1 million a year did it by playing by corporate human resources rules when he worked at the fucking Ford dealership doing oil changes and fucking warranty repairs for 25 fucking years? No. He got his experience and he went up and he did something else and he got more experience and he did that and he got more experience and he saved some money. And then he went to the bank and he got a loan and he built a garage and he got a lift and he got some fucking tools, and the Snap-on guy came over and dropped off some wrenches and shit. And he eventually ended up with his own fucking garage doing his own thing. Blue collar, $1 million a year. Living the life. Surrounded by fucking cars. He never has to go buy. He doesn't have to worry about his car breaking down. He's got 20 of them. And he knows how to fix every single one of them if something goes wrong. So, but going back to my first job out of college. Thought, I did the blue collar mentality thing. Work hard, bust your ass, work overtime, do a good job, blah, blah, blah. They wouldn't give me a fucking 10-cent raise to save my life after I'd been there a year and a half. Threatened to leave one day. Oh, all of a sudden we can do 107% pay increase. We can take you from $7.50 an hour to $15. Like that. That's all it took, was threatening to leave. Now, it took two things. It took making yourself indispensable to where you walking out the door is actually going to cause them some problems. And they're going to have a really hard time filling your shoes. And they're going to have, like, they could hire somebody off the street and it's going to take 6 months to a year before that person's churning out what you can do. So you do have to have that. You do have to have some leverage, or this, if you're just if you're a dumbass and you threaten to leave, they're going to be like, oh, bye. But if you have the keys to the kingdom in your pocket to some extent, now you've got leverage. But you're going to have to exercise that leverage. You can't play nice. You can't hope that they're going to do the right thing and reward you. You got to turn up the heat. You got to turn up the heat. You got to turn the screws to make it work. It doesn't happen it will never, ever, 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 ever happen on its own. Ever. So I said, I bounced. I left that job because I got a job in Pittsburgh making $16.50 an hour. So I made, even though they offered me 15 to stay, I'm like, fuck you, I'll make more money and I'm going to move to where I want to be. Bye. And I left. So I got $33,000 a year, up from 15, just by going to a new job. How long would that have taken with my 2% pay increase every year that I never got because they wouldn't increase my pay until I threatened to leave? How many years would that have taken just to get to $33K? So anyway, I'm working at this company in Pittsburgh, and after I'd been there for about 15 months, now I was going through a headhunter. So I was paid by a temp agency who charged the company a certain amount of dollars per hour for me to be there, and then they paid me a cut of that. But I was making $16 an hour at the time. So the company, I had been working there for 15 months. They offered me a full-time job paid directly by the company. And they offered me $27,000 to take a full-time job with them and less benefits. So they were going to cut my pay from $33,000 down to $27,000 as a reward for busting my ass for the last 15 months. Now, when you work for a staffing agency or a headhunter or something like that, if you're making $33,000 a year, that company's charging $66,000 to $70,000 a year for you to be there. So the company was paying the staffing agency at least $75K. I was taking home 33 of that for myself. The staffing agency keeps the rest. And yes, it's like double. Whatever you make from a company, the staffing agency is usually doubling that, and you get half. They didn't do shit. You're the one doing all the fucking work, but you're making half of what the staffing company makes. So they could have kept me at $33K, or they could have given me $40,000 or $50,000 a year as a raise after having worked there for 15 months and busted my ass, remember, enough that I deserved to have a full-time job offer. Instead, they offered me 11, 12, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, $6,000 a year less with more expensive health insurance that wasn't as good. That was my reward for busting my ass for a year and a half. So I was like, no. I said no. I went to the head of the department and I laughed and I'm like, you didn't expect me to say yes to this, did you? I'm like, is this like Pawn Stars here? Is this like I'm supposed to tell you $100K and you're supposed to say best I can do is $50, and then we go back and forth and then we end up somewhere that's mutually agreeable? They were like, no, you're fired. They fired me for saying no to the pay cut. And then it's crazier than that, because after I said no, they fired me, and then they fired the entire fucking department out of spite. Every single person in that department who worked through the same staffing agency I worked for, they fired all of them. It was like 10 or 15 people. They fired them all on the same day. And then they went and hired people making like 25 grand a year for the same job. They went and grabbed a bunch of new temps from another staffing agency and made it so that the temps were only making 25 an hour. So that when they offer, or 25 grand, so that when they would offer you the full-time job at 27, it would be like, oh, big raise. So they were so spiteful for me because I said no. And a lot of people gave me shit for saying no. And I was like, how can you even give me shit for refusing a pay cut after I busted my ass for a year and a half and you want to cut my pay? Like, how does that make me the bad employee? Like, seriously, I didn't say fuck you, but fuck you is what I said a nice big corporate fuck you without saying the words or sticking the finger up in the air. But I told them to pound sand. I said, come back when you got a real offer. So they're like, well, our offer is you can be fired by. And then they fired the entire fucking department because of me. They did it because of what I did. They were like, the audacity of him. So a bunch of people lost their job because I said no to a pay cut. But that's how fucking scummy these people are. The CEO of that company, there was this day he called, we weren't making shit. He called a meeting where all 30 of us in the marketing department had to come in, and he's in the front of the room and he's talking about, he says some shit like, I'll never forget. He was like, it's like when you go to the BMW dealership and you're buying a new Beamer. He's like, do you just get the cheapest one that they have at the dealership just so that you can tell everybody you're driving a BMW? Or do you get the BMW with all the bells and whistles and all the electronics and all the good stuff because that's what BMW is all about? And we're looking at him like, do you even know how much we make, you fucking scumbag? Yeah, you're real relatable to the fucking people here. This guy's worth like $100 million telling us about how, oh yeah, it's just like when you go to the BMW dealership. Like, seriously, fuck you. And then he fires me for not wanting to take a pay cut after I'd been there for a year and a half. So do you understand that, like, this was my second job in my career? Are you starting to get why I just don't give a fuck about this shit? Because I'm not going to take any shit from these fucking dirtbags. I'm not. I would rather be homeless than bow down to that shit. I will not fucking do it. And the fact that I've already been homeless and survived it, believe me, I have no more fucks to give. None. So it gives you a level of freedom that you just can't, I can't explain the level of freedom that this gives me. That now I can sit on YouTube and just say whatever the fuck I want, because I know as long as I don't break the law, there's no consequence that I can't deal with. I've dealt with the worst there is. And I survived it. So now bring it. Do it. Do what you're going to fucking do. Because Adam said the wrong thing. Fine. So anyway, they fired me. They fired the entire department out of spite. Went and got a job 2 weeks later with a 22% increase in my pay. 2 weeks after getting fired for not taking a pay cut, I got a 22% raise right off the rip, day one at my new job. And now I'm making 40 grand. And a year later, because it was a small company and they valued my presence there, they bumped me up to 50 grand. So now that's a 50% increase from where I was at the previous company, more or less. Yeah, 50% roundabout. And, well, no, yeah. Yeah, 50% raise from where I was at the previous company. And it was an 85% increase overall if I would have said yes to the pay cut to go from 33 to 27. But instead, because I said no, 2 weeks later, I'm making 40 and soon 50. So that's an 85% increase above what I would have had if I caved in and said yes to the pay cut because I was too scared to lose my job. I didn't even go on unemployment. I wasn't even unemployed long enough to go on unemployment. And I got a 22% raise right off the bat. And then another 10 grand on top of that within a year. Now, I got laid off from that company, but that was due to the economy. It was the dot-com crash in the early 2000s. Some bad decisions that we all made. We liked to party at that. That job was wild. Shit was like the digital version of the Wolf of Wall Street. I watched that Wolf of Wall Street movie, and that, oh my God, that was a lot like working for them. We had some good times. But we made some bad decisions. I made bad decisions. The owner made some bad decisions. Everybody that worked there, we made some bad decisions. The day I came in with the hangover and threw up all over the elevator lobby. I mean, telling you, Wolf of Wall Street right there. Could have been us. I'll just leave it at that. But I got laid off. And we left on very good terms. I'm actually still good friends with the owner of that company to this day. I could say hi to him right now. I could bring him up and chat with him in front of you guys if I was screen sharing. And he would answer me. So we're good. We're tight. We're not like tight, but we talk. And we have no hard feelings. Neither way. Everybody made mistakes. It was a learning experience. We'll just call it that. Right away, within a couple of months, I played Frisbee golf over the summer, was on unemployment, and then I got a job making 10% more than I was before. During the time I was at that job, my salary didn't change by $1. I was probably there for a couple of years, and then I quit. And then I worked for myself for 6 years, doing my own thing, freelancing. So the money was that doesn't really count because when you freelance, they call it the feast or famine cycle. Um, sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. Literally, you're either feasting or it's a famine, and it would go back and forth. It was very volatile. There was a couple of times I could make 20 grand in a month, and then I could go 4 or 5 months making zero. Like for real, it had no rhythm to it at all. Especially when you're a solo freelancer, it's extremely difficult. It's what I'm doing right now because I don't have any other choice, but I'm not rolling in it like I was back then. I just don't have the big corporate clients that I had back then. I networked my way into that shit, and then I went out on my own and started freelancing for them. So it wasn't like I just, got out of prison and decided to start a business. I had years worth of corporate contacts that I leveraged and got them to start giving me work directly. End of story. So I did that for 6 years. And then the economy, George Bush flushed the economy on in 2008, took big shit on us, and all the banksters and all the people that ruined the economy got government bailouts so that they could pay their annual bonuses to themselves while the rest of us could go fuck ourselves. That was 2008. You might remember that. Gen X hadn't forgot. My generation, we don't forget. Why do you think I have such a bad attitude when it comes to this shit? Do I want to work for a corporate robber baron who took our fucking tax money in the form of a bailout after he destroyed the fucking economy in 2008 so he could give himself a $10 million bonus that year while the rest of us were eating fucking ramen noodles and fighting in the streets to survive? Like, fuck them. Fuck them. Like, fuck them, fuck them, fuck them, fuck them, fuck them. That's what I have to say about those people. Why would I be loyal to someone like that? Never, never, never. And I'm just saying it. I'm saying it out loud. I'm saying what every fucking person that works at these companies is thinking. They're just afraid to say it out loud because they're afraid of losing their job. I don't have to worry about that, so I can fucking say it. And I am right now. So fine. 6 years, I had to go back to the workforce, and I got a job making the same amount of money that I was making when I left the workforce, about 50 grand a year. But I was doing a completely different career path. I decided to go be a programmer. I had a little bit of coding experience. And so it was a new career path for me because I know that the programmers were making more money than the designers. And I thought that would be a path to, if I'm going to go back to the workforce, I may as well take a pathway that's available to me that'll give me new skills that I didn't have. It took my programming knowledge up 1,000-fold from where I was before. What the amount of code and the things that I could do before doing this career move and the things that I can do now because I spent 6 years doing that, there's no fucking comparison. Like, I can write code, I can build things now and design. That's the double whammy. That's like 2 out of the 3 things you need to basically do everything yourself. I can build some solid shit, and if it got to the point where it was too big, I'd have to hire people to help. But at that point, it's basically a startup. But I got that experience because I went back to the workforce and took on something that I was uncomfortable with, had a little bit of experience with, and busted my ass for 6 years to learn as much as I could working in large-scale software projects, the level of which I never would have been able to touch as a freelancer ever. So I started making the money the same as I was before. Now, software industry is cutthroat and vicious. So even though it was a learning experience, that first job that I got as I came back from freelancing, that's the company that I was just talking about the shitty ass CEO of Amazon. Well, it was his sister that I was working for. I was the 5th person that was hired in the company. I was employee number 5. So it was me, her, a programmer guy, a designer, her umbrella carrier like P. Diddy had, and me. So there were 6 of us, but I was the 5th person on board. And she fired me for going to the hospital for the birth of my son. And that was another major wake up call in my life. Why the fuck would I ever be loyal to one of these fucking dirtbag CEOs or any of these scumbag companies if this is how I'm being treated over and 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 over again? How many times would it take to just learn not to be loyal to them? Like, how many times does your husband have to beat the shit out of you if you're his wife before you finally get the hint that, guess what, he's going to come home, he's going to be driving that Dodge Ram up the driveway with the big cloud of black smoke, and he's going to slam the fucking door, climb down the ladder on the side of his lifted up Dodge Ram pickup truck, come in the house and start beating the shit out of you, and you're going to have another black eye today. How many times are you going to go through that before you learn? But that's what it's like working for these fucking people. How many times is my husband going to come home in the big Dodge Ram pickup truck and beat the shit out of me before I'm like, I'm done with you? So yeah, fired for going to the hospital for the birth of my son. I've told you that a million times if you've been on this channel for a while. So let's move on. My next job came in at the same salary that I was fired at from the previous one. And now this was a company that I stayed at for I stayed there for more than a couple of years. After about a year and a half, I got the standard 2% raise. Now, if you're making 50 grand a year and you get a 2% raise, you're making an extra $1,000 a year. Now I'm making $51,000 a year, and that's before taxes. So on your paycheck, that turns out to be $19 a week. So you bust your ass at a company for a year and a half, and they're like, here you go. Here's another $19 a week. You fucking peasant. Get the fuck out of my face, right? Don't spend it all in one place. Gas just went up from $2.75 a gallon to $9 a gallon, but here's your extra $19 a week. Now, this was the company I've told you about before whose stock price tanked from $18. Now, dollars, I have to say that with emphasis. Their stock price went from $18 per share. Oh, and a year later, it was 6 cents. Not dollars, 6 cents per share. And the executives were still giving themselves raises. And so they gave me a promotion. They actually gave me a big promotion in this company because I'd been there at this point, I was closing in on 2 years. They had a job opening in the company, and they had it listed on Indeed and the other job boards. They were going to pay 120 grand a year for this job to hire somebody off the street to come and do this job. Well, a bunch of people knew that I could do the job and I'd be good at it. It was exactly what I was good at. So they gave me the job. And when it came to increasing my pay, they would not even give me $1 raise. They would not give me any kind of raise. They said, I'll come back in 3 months. Oh, come back and talk in 6 months, blah, blah, blah. So they're paying me 50 grand a year. I've been working at the company for 2 years. I'm familiar with their systems. I'm familiar with the company. I know the people. I know how the place operates. I know all the ins and outs, the systems, all the company specific knowledge because I've been there for a while. And I'm a shoo-in for this job. This job that they would hire a geek off the street 120 grand a year from day one to do. They wouldn't give me a fucking penny over what I was making already. Because they're like, fuck him, we got him. So I stayed in that job for about 3 months, and I had to deal with a couple of people that were really tough to deal with, and I wasn't getting along with them, and it was a lot of extra stress. It was like my life was going downhill because of this promotion. And so finally I just said, fuck it. I went back to the VP of marketing and said, I want to go back to the marketing department and work for you because I like you guys better. And he laughed and he was like, yeah, we'll take you back. Fuck it. Take the same job back that I used to have, making the same money. And plus, I told the VP of marketing, I'm like, look, it's kind of insulting when they're publicly advertising on job boards that they'll pay 120 grand a year for someone to come in off the street and do this job that they just gave to me, and they won't even like give me $1,000 a year raise, and I'm not even making half. I wasn't even making half of what they were offering somebody brand new to come in off the street and do the same fucking job. Why? Because companies don't play like that. They keep you at whatever they hired you at. That's what you're going to make when you work there. Once you're in the company, you don't get the market rate for your job. You get whatever you negotiated when you started, plus your 2% increase. But then when they're hiring somebody else to do your job, whatever the market rate is what they end up paying, because if they don't, then they won't get anybody to come work there. And that is why human resources, why your HR director says, don't share your salary with the other employees. And they try to spin it like it's some sort of thing to protect your privacy. It's not to protect your privacy. It's to protect their privacy so that you don't know how bad you're getting fucked over when you've been at the company for 15 years and the person that they hired to come sit next to you to do the same job as you with the same job title as you makes more than double what you make on day one. Even though you've been busting your ass and getting your performance reviews, 5-star performance reviews for 15 years. And this person comes in off the street making double what you are. That's why they don't want you to tell anybody your salary, and that's why you're not supposed to ask. Because if they knew, if the employees start talking to each other, everybody's going to know how fucked they are, and they're going to demand that they get a raise. And then the company, the CEO is going to have to give up some hookers and blow and other shit and trips to Epstein Island and all that shit to pay you. And they're not going to have that. They're not going to have it. So once again, I'm working for a company. They won't give me a raise. Their justification is our stock price tanked from $18 a share to 6 cents per share. But the executives, the CEO, the CFO, the CMO, the CTO, those are the people that made the decisions that caused the stock price to go from $18 to 6 cents. It wasn't the marketing department. We did a good job. We had numbers. We put numbers on the board. We were the reason why the fucking company was still in business, in spite of them fighting against us. And I'm talking about a team of like 20 people. It wasn't just me. It was 20 of us did a fucking banging. And it was one of the most talented group of people I ever worked with in my career. And we put numbers on the fucking board in spite of being swimming upstream against a bunch of fucking retards that were trying to sink their own company. And we still put numbers on the board. So we deserved it. Like I said, they gave me a promotion, told them, and then we came to an impasse. So they gave me my old job back. And so yeah, but that's what happens. They will keep paying you your 2% salary increase for 20 fucking years, while the market rate for your job goes up 10 to 20% every year. 20 years from now, if you stay at that job because you're loyal, and that's what human resources wants to see, loyalty. Well, let's say if you stayed at a job, if you made 50 grand and you get a 2% salary increase every year, that's if you get it every year. If you stay there for 20 years, you'll be making $74,000 a year after 20 years. Now, if you do a career like you're supposed to these days and do what HR tells you not to do and be a job hopper, let's say you start that same career, $50,000, and your salary never changes at any job, but every 3 years, you end up with a 30% increase in your pay because you went to a different company and that's the new market rate, or that's what you were able to negotiate. So let's say 50,000, 50,000, 50,000, then you get a 30% jump and you stay there for 3 years and you get another 30% jump, et cetera, et cetera. Do you know at the end of that 20 years, instead of making $74,000 a year, you would be making $241,000 per year. just by changing companies every 3 years to get your 30% boost. Where's the fucking incentive? Where's the incentive to stay at some company for 25 fucking years, like my mom's coworkers at Kodak, just to be kicked to the curb and told to go fuck yourself 3 months away from collecting full retirement benefits? Or job hop every 3 years, like human resources tells you not to do, and 20 years from now you're making 241,000 a year because you got a real increase every time you bumped up your job, and you didn't even get a raise at any of these jobs. You just get hired, you stay. Now let's say you get a 2% increase at each one. Like, say you go from company A to B, and if you're there for 3 years and you get a 2% bump, 2% bump, 2% bump, and then a 30% bump to bounce, you're still making way more money. Over the course of 20 years, you stay with that 2% raise every year and work for the company for 20 years. Over the 20 years, you made $1,214,000. In the situation where you're making 30% every 3 years as an increase, you're made $2,396,000 over the same 20-year period. Plus, remember, at the end of that 20 years, you're making 241 grand a year instead of 50. So that's just going to keep multiplying. So, when HR tells you that job hopping is bad and it makes you look disloyal, you got to keep in mind it's HR's job. It's their fucking job to get you to come to work for them for the least amount of money that they can possibly get away with paying you. And in this job market right now, people are going to AI bot job interviews because they're so desperate to find a job. Like, holy shit, dude. If ChatGPT showed up to my job interview asking me a bunch of questions, I'd be like, what color underwear you got on? I would just go to town. I'd be like, I would just start asking her, like, so in the bedroom, would you call yourself a screamer or a biter? I would just go off the rails if I had to do an AI chatbot job interview. Oh my God. I would try and hack the bot, try and get it to like, I would definitely waste as many AI tokens as I could be, I would have fun with it, but I would have absolutely no chance. The funny thing is, look at Office Space. Look at that movie Office Space, right? You had the Bobs that came in to interview everybody to decide who the company who they should keep and who they should toss, and who got the promotion. The dude that walked in, put his legs up on the desk and said, "Yeah, I just don't give a fuck. Fuck this job." He got the promotion. All the people that kissed their ass, they got fired. I'm a people person, damn it. If you haven't seen the movie, then you don't know. If you have, then you know. Office Space, it's a classic. Fuck, man, there's so much truth in that movie. But that's who got the promotion. I mean, that movie right there is a lesson. Who got the promotion? The guy who didn't care. The guy who flat out walked into that meeting saying, I don't give a fuck about this place. It sucks. Oh, you're promoted. You get the corner office and you're going to be in charge of the whole department now. The people who were loyal and the people who busted their ass and came prepared with the proper human resource answers, they got laid off. That's the truth. That's the fucking truth, man. So that job, the one that offered me the promotion but wouldn't pay for it, they fired me 2 months later. Spite. They just had to, it took them a while to figure out how they were going to like get all my work off of my desk and spread it around and hand it out to people and, transition me out the door. But they fired me 2 months after I did that. And, but the best part about it, the best part of this story is right before they fired me, I found a new job. The new job, so this company would not give me a raise. The new job that I found to replace it on day one, 47% pay increase on day one. Here I am busting my ass at this company for 2 years. They give me a promotion to a job that they're willing to pay 120 large for, and they won't even give me a bump from 50 grand to even not even halfway there. So I go and get a new job making 47% more than I already was. I was making like 75. Good compromise. Walked out the door, get more. Day one. So I planned my exit strategy to quit without notice. I was just going to go to HR, drop off my laptop and my badge and say, I'm out. See ya. Today's my last day. At the end of my last day. I had it all planned out and contingencies, and I knew that they might try to spite me, and like I wanted to make sure I got my last paycheck and what was supposed to be in it and all that stuff. And anyway, same thing. I told you the company stock price went from $18 per share to 6 cents per share because of dumbass decisions from the CEO and all the executives, but they took out their anger on the employees. Their dumbass decisions that ran the company into the ground and got them into a class action lawsuit, they took it out on the employees and started treating the employees like fucking shit. And people were leaving. It was like watching rats trying to get off the Titanic when it was sinking. People were leaving and leaving and leaving. And I mean, I could tell you 20 different stories about it, about things that happened at that time, but I'll just tell you one. A friend of mine, she quit. She put in her 2-week notice. She was owed like a $30,000 bonus from the previous year. She was doing search engine optimization marketing, and her pay was based on bonuses based on sales that resulted from her work. So this was 2012. This was work that she earned in 2011 that they were due to pay her. Her dumbass, she put in her 2-week notice before they paid her bonus, and her bonus was supposed to be on her final paycheck, and they revoked her bonus and said, well, because you're quitting, we don't have to pay you a bonus anymore. But the bonus was from the previous year's work. This shit was way overdue. And so she walked and she got fucked over 30 fucking grand that she was supposed to get in a bonus. I would have waited until that shit was in the bank, and then I would have quit. Her mistake, not mine. But she walked. I mean, she still quit, but she was mad as fuck about that. And, talking to lawyers and trying to figure out what she could do to get that back. But they revoked her bonus because they were mad that she quit, even though they owed it to her from the previous year. And it was in her fucking, I mean, that shit was in writing. So I don't know. I don't know what happened as a result. I'm just saying that these were the things. I could give you 20 more stories that led to me saying, I'm going to quit. I've got a new job. I got a start date. I gave myself 3 weeks. I'm going to quit on this day with no notice at all. I'm going to walk into the office. I'm going to walk into somebody's office, drop off my stuff and say, see ya, done today. And then never come back. No 2-week notice. Fuck that. They're not giving me a 2-week notice if they fire me. And so here's what happened. On the day I came in one day and I decided to back up all of my files, anything that I wanted to keep from my design portfolio, remove anything personal that might be on my computer. There really wasn't much, but I may have had make sure I clean out my web browsers, disconnect Gmail, change all my passwords to anything I might have logged into that was my stuff, personal stuff, any files that are on my computer that are mine, get rid of it all, make sure. And I organized the computer so that all the projects were extremely organized and it would be super easy for someone to pick up and figure out where things are. I wasn't going to leave. I liked these people. I liked the marketing team, and the VP of marketing was one of my best friends at the time. Or he was a really cool motherfucker, and I love the guy. To this day, I think he's a great guy. But I didn't want to fuck them over, but I definitely didn't want to give them a 2-week notice. Fuck them. So I made up my mind on that. So on the day that I made sure to organize, I had a week left at the company, and here it is on a Friday, and I decide, I'll just organize all my stuff, get this computer ready to drop off. And then my plan was to just fuck off the whole next week and not do anything and say, oh, whatever. What are they going to do? Fire me? Oh, darn. So that was my plan, was to just come in, do nothing, goof off on the internet, just do a bunch of nothing for a whole week and then quit. Well, that Friday, after I got finished with everything I wanted to do, I get a call to go back to the VP of marketing office. And HR lady's sitting there and they're like, sorry to let you know this, but we're letting you go today. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. And so I was like, oh no. And so because they let me go, they gave me severance pay. They gave me, they paid my health insurance to the end of the year. They gave me severance pay. They gave me all my unused vacation in a lump sum. And basically, I got like $10,000, $12,000 sent to me in the mail in a check about 5 days after I was gone. And I had another 2 weeks before I had to start my new job, vacation. I literally sat home playing Grand Theft Auto for 2 fucking weeks on the Xbox, doing nothing but stuck to the couch playing Grand Theft Auto for 2 whole weeks before I started my new job. The new job that came with the 47% pay increase. And I got 12 grand sitting in the fucking bank because they fired me and gave me a severance pay. If I had put in my 2-week notice, I would have lost $12,000 by doing the wrong thing. By doing the wrong thing, I was rewarded. Jesus said, you know what? You deserve a reward for doing the wrong thing, which was actually the right thing to do. $12,000. Here you go, homie. Put that in the bank. That'll get you started. That'll pay for your 2 weeks off, huh? You can sit and play Grand Theft Auto all day. You can order however many fucking pizzas you want. You can do whatever the fuck you want for the next 2 weeks. You ain't got nothing to worry about. Rent's paid for the next 6 months. You're good. Good. All because I said fuck those motherfuckers and decided not to give them a 2-week notice. I got paid 12 grand for that. Do the wrong thing. Once again, how the fuck am I supposed to do the right thing when I'm constantly rewarded for doing the wrong thing? Are you starting to see the fucking pattern here? And I'm just telling you my stories. I haven't even gotten into other people's stories yet. This is just me. And we're not even done. I got more. No, don't ever feel like you have to do the right thing, man. These fucking people you work for, they're not going to do the right thing. When I was fired, they didn't even want me going back to my desk. I had to have a security guard follow me to the desk, make sure I didn't touch my computer ever again. It had already been scooped up and taken away. Thank God I got anything off of it that I wanted to. Earlier that day, it's fucked up. I had a few personal things on my desk, my coat, my laptop bag, a few personal tidbits in my cubicle to make it feel like a home. And they escorted me out the building all the way to the fucking street to make sure that I didn't do anything on my way out the door. That's how much warning you get when it's time to go. When it's time for them to kick you to the curb, you get no warning and you have a security guard escort you all the way to the fucking street and follow you to make sure you don't do anything. But when you leave the company, you're supposed to give them 2 weeks notice. Once again, go eat a fucking dick, HR. No, you don't have to give them a 2-week notice. They're not going to do the right thing. You don't do the right thing. Fuck them. If you work for a good company that treats you well, and I do have examples of this to share, then yeah, give them the consideration that they gave you. But you don't need to be loyal to a scumbag company like Kodak that's going to kick you to the curb 3 months before your retirement date when you've been working there for 25 fucking years and you gave a quarter of your fucking life to them, or a third, or a half of your life to them. No, fuck those motherfuckers. I've already told you stories about Kodak wasting money like it was nothing. Tens of millions of dollars in company waste. And then they had to kick the employees to the curb because they threw away their fucking money on packaging they threw away because the yellow had 2% too much red in it. Shit like that. I told you, go back to last week or the week before live stream if you want to hear those stories. I didn't hold back. So no, don't do the right thing. Fuck, man. Anybody who tells me, I just laugh whenever somebody tells me that, yo, you're doing the wrong thing, Adam. Well, I did the wrong thing once and I went to prison for it. Other than that, I have a pretty good track record doing the wrong thing and getting rewarded for it. Like I said, they're not giving you any warning when they kick you to the curb. I did work for a company once when I talked about it already. The one that I told you I'm still good friends with the boss. They gave me a month. They gave me a month warning that they were going to let me go because times were bad, times were tough economically. So they gave me a month to figure out something. And then that was my last day at the job. And then he let me come in for another month or two to work on my portfolio, use the computers there, use the printers, like print stuff out on a color printer and some other expensive stuff. And just, they let me come in and use the equipment and kind of hang out with them for a couple more months, even though I wasn't being paid, but I could just come and go at my leisure and had like a little home base to work from to help me find a new job. So once again, not every company is a bad company to work for. And I've had both. This is how I can value those experiences and know when I'm at a good place with good people in charge and know the difference. And I know the value of working at a good place with good people because I've worked for some of the biggest dirt bags on earth. And there's a huge difference between the two, and how I act and the loyalty that I will give a place is going to be commensurate and reflect how I'm being treated in return. And that's how everybody should be. And so next job, went to another job, lasted about 14 to 15 months before the whole department went into a meltdown. It was a bad place to work. I was making good money, but it was a terrible, really terrible job. I've talked about it many times on here. But one day, at the same time, my boss and my boss's boss both quit together on the same day, walked. Gave them a 2-week notice, but they quit at the same time. And that started a domino effect where out of spite, these companies, it's so political in some of these places that out of spite, the company whacked my entire team. Talking like 20-something people whacked us and sent us packing out the door because my boss and my boss's boss quit. And they were so mad about it that they whacked the whole fucking department. This happens when it's kind of like the changing of the guard. And a lot of times at these companies, if someone big enough either gets fired or leaves the company and a new person comes in, that new person will just wipe the slate clean, fire an entire department, and bring all their own people in. Joe Biden leaves the White House, all the blue-haired retards and running around with their dicks cut off, wearing dresses, they're gone. Donald Trump brings in all the fucking child molesters and all the people that are going to stand up for and protect Jeffrey Epstein and the billionaires and Mark Zuckerberg and all the people he brings to the table. Total wipe the slate clean and bring a bunch of new crooks in to do the job. So it's kind of like this at companies. A big enough person leaves, that could spell disaster for everybody under them in the company. My best friend, his boss, who he's good friends with, he worked for that guy in more than one company. Well, his boss just got whacked a couple months ago. And I said, "You got your resume done?" And I was like, you know what? I'm like, he feels like he's safe. And I'm like, yeah, that's what they want. I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to be too negative, but he feels safe. But I'm also like, yeah, but I know what happens when someone high up like your boss gets whacked and someone new comes in, you might be gone. It don't matter how good of a job you do and how good your performance reviews are and all that. you may be getting whacked. Because that's what happens. It's political. It has nothing to do with anything other than new person comes in. They got their people. They want the old people out. They want the new people in. It happens. I've seen it a million times. But he could, now his former boss that just got whacked could go work at another company and bring him to the other company. So he could end up with a better job, making more money by going to bounce with, when the boss bounces, you get to bounce sometimes. And the new boss brings you along and gets you bumped. That happens. Happens a lot. People like to hire the people they know and the people that they're already comfortable working with. And they like to surround them, especially in a leadership position. You like to surround yourself with people you already trust. Because now, if you're in a new environment, but you're surrounded with your old guard, you're going to feel more insulated against whatever bullshit might go down at this company. You've got people that got your back. Political. It happens a bunch of times, especially in what I do for a living. See it all the time. The best way to get a new job is to network your way into it. Don't go filling out job applications and throwing your resume into a black hole. The best way to get a new job is to have a friend who will get you a new job somewhere. I'm not in the position for that anymore. For not just because of the felony. There are people there are friends of mine in the business who would hire me in a second if they could, or if they were in that position to do it. They don't give a fuck about the felony. They think it was bullshit. They think I didn't deserve it. Told me to my face. They wouldn't hold it against me. Like, yeah, you got a big mouth at them, but you do a good job. So fuck them. I'd hire you. So that, that's how it's going to have to be. So anyway, domino effect, my boss quit, my boss's boss quit. And so I got fired along with like 20 other people. We all got sent home. And my next job came with a 13% decrease. I took a bump down from my next job. But the experience, so I had 2 job offers. One was making about the same, maybe a little bit more than I was making before, but something just didn't quite sit right with me when I was talking to this new company. And this other job paid less money, but I felt like it would be better on my resume and it would be I felt like it was a better choice. So I took the lower paying job for reasons that are different from money. I learned some things. It was good. I met some good people I still talk to this day, but the place became toxic. And I entered the company at a bad time. There was a lot of shakeup going on. It was a 200-person ad agency. 50 people quit in a span of like 2 months. And the people that were quitting had been there for 10 years. Left and right. Like every week, 1 or 2 people were quitting the whole time I was there. And then there was things, it was visceral. It was bad. They were bad at managing the projects I was working on. It was really, really bad in a lot of ways, but I was having a good time and I was meeting some really good people. And so it was good and bad. And so I busted my ass. I rushed out the door and I got a job with a 15% pay increase within 6 months of starting that job. And it was 2 blocks away from where I was already working. So the funny thing is I still had a key to the company gym. And it was the building. It was an office building, like a 30-story office building with a gym. And I had a key fob to get into the gym. But there were 20 different companies in this building. I still had a key fob for the gym for the next 5 years. So I could still ride my bicycle to my new job, which was 2 blocks away, park my bicycle in the underground garage on the nice bike rack with the lockers next to it, go into the gym, take a shower. They have beautiful bathrooms. I could like go to spinning class. There was other stuff I could do. And then I could just get all dressed and get changed into my clothes and walk 2 blocks to my other job. So, I mean, that's how close together they were, but I got a 15% increase in pay. And then I'd been at that company for a year. They gave me the standard company 2% raise. Yay! So I'm making a little bit more, right? So I'm closing in on like 75, 80 grand a year. And then after I got kind of sick of that job, and it wasn't just the job, it was I got sick of writing code and being a programmer. And so I was thinking about going to do freelance again. And another company came knocking on my door asking me if I wanted to leave the programming world and be a user experience designer for a new software startup. And they gave me a 20% bump in my pay to go do that. So now I'm making like 90 grand a year to go get it. Once again, out the door, you make more. Once again, jump to another job, 20% bump. Stay at your job, 2% raise. Once again, every time you bounce, you usually make more, significantly more. And you have the leverage to negotiate from because you're talking to a company to come work for them and they give you an offer. You can counter with whatever you want because you already have a job. So I could say, well, I want this much. And the worst they could do is say no. And I go back to my job that I'm already at and do it again next week when the next job comes along with a job interview or whatever. I don't have to be desperate and just take the first thing that comes along. So that's how you negotiate your 25 bump, your 30% bump, your 50% bump to go from job A to job B. Plus, you do your research. You know what the market rate is for the job. You know what other people are making because you don't listen to HR and you talk to other people. How much do you make? How much do you make? That's how you find out how much you're supposed to make, by asking other people what they make. So that you know you're not getting fucked. And if you're good enough friends with the people you're asking, they'll tell you and I'll tell them. And we're open about it. And that's how we educate ourselves to protect ourselves from these scumbags that don't want you to know what you're worth. And so, once again, got a bump. Now, I stayed at that company for like 3 years and never got a raise, never got a bump. My salary remained unchanged, but it was a pretty cushy job. It wasn't a horrible place to work. But towards the end, there was a lot of turmoil in the company. It was not a situation where they went from $18 a share to 6 cents a share, but they lost their biggest client and they had some turmoil. All the C-level people were fleeing. The CMO left, the CTO, the C this and that, the CFO. All the people with C and 2 other letters next to their name were leaving the company one after the next after the next. And when they start, when the rich people get on the lifeboat at the Titanic, you need to get the fuck on the lifeboat because there's only so many seats on those lifeboats. And if you're just a shitty ass peasant in the basement of the Titanic, you're not only going to get no lifeboat, but you're going to get locked in the basement of the ship so you can't even fucking come up to the decks they're going to make you drown. So you got to pay attention when the C-suite starts to leave. That's like the rich assholes getting on the lifeboats because they found out the ship's sinking and they got a head start. So that's your signal. You need to get out of the basement of the ship and up onto the decks before they lock that fucking door. And you got to get your ass on a lifeboat, or you're going to be clinging onto a fucking door like Leonardo DiCaprio when that fucking spoiled cunt let him die. Right? Like, fuck that bitch. I would have been on the door. Fuck you, bitch. Get out of here. Give me that necklace before you go so I can live large. Fucking dumb bitch goes and throws the necklace into the ocean at the end of the movie. See, that's Leo. He could have just pushed her off the door, take that fucking necklace. He'd have been living large for the rest of his life. He could have found another hot chick. That's how that movie would have ended if I was Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm getting on that fucking lifeboat. Or at least I'm going to cling onto a fucking door or something floating in the water until they come and get me. Fuck it, man. I've never met a girl who's worth I've never met a girl who's worth not shoving off of the floating door or whatever she was clinging on to. I'm just saying, get mad all you want. I don't care. I've been through the shit. I can talk. Um, anyway, so I left. So that things were going downhill at the company. Titanic situation. And I was trying to find a new job, and we were in a race against the clock, and they beat me that time and they fired me. I got a severance package. I got out the door with some cash, and I had to wait around for a month or two, and I got a new job. But the new job, 28% increase in pay. Out the door, you make more. Once again, 28% bump. If I didn't get laid off, I would have worked at that company another 2 fucking years and never got a raise. But because they shoved me out the door, once again, you make more. Took a minute, took 2 months. It was October. It was the end of October. I had to go November and December. Started a new job on January 1st, making 28% more. I was at like 116 grand. So at the same time that I started that job, I got a freelance job that paid 7% more per hour, if we're talking about an hourly rate, than the new full-time job I just landed. And for a while, I was juggling both, and that was tough. But the new job was toxic. It was a cutthroat, nasty, toxic corporate environment. It was bad. It was really, really, really bad. And so I quit. 3 months into the job, I quit. And I started working for that freelance job instead to ride out the summer. And at the end of the summer, I found a job that I liked a hell of a lot more than the previous job, but I took a 9% pay cut to take the job. The stress was way lower. The people I worked for were great at first. And the everything that went with that job was so much better that the 9% pay decrease didn't even bother me. I didn't care. The lack of stress in my life was worth every penny that I was losing. And I worked at that place until, after the COVID scam. That's the company that fired me for not taking my COVID shot. So things did go downhill after 2020 working with them. It turned into the Jim Jones vaccine cult. It was bad. It was really, really bad. And it kept getting worse and worse and worse until they finally fired me. Now, that was a remote job. I worked from home. I worked from home from day one. That was part of my negotiation when I got hired in 2019 was, can I work from home? I live 70 miles away. I don't mind coming into the office to do things and to meet, I don't want to be a hermit, but at the same time, I want the autonomy to be able to do my work from home. I don't want to feel like I got to drive 70 miles Monday through Friday to set up a MacBook and sit in Zoom meetings with everybody all day when I can do that from my office at home. And my office at home is way fucking better than this place. And I had a beautiful office. My office was as big as the room that I'm sitting in right now, except for that was only my office. It was fucking beautiful. It was the best office I've ever had in my life. And so, yeah, I wanted to work from home and work from my own office with my own shit and my own chair and everything the way I want it to be, and my music, whatever I want it to be, and as loud as I want, and do my own thing, even if I was being paid, because all the work that I do these days, it's all internet based. Even when I would go into this bank and sit in Zoom meetings all day. But I'd have to drive down into downtown Pittsburgh, set up in a corporate environment in a corporate office, open up my MacBook and sit in fucking Zoom meetings all day. I'm like, I can do this from home. What the fuck am I even doing here? I stopped 3 months in. We don't need to get into all the details there because that would take us way off topic, but I knew I was marked for death when I knew I wasn't going to take that COVID shot. So I was unemployed for a few months, about 4 months. And then I found a new job complete work from home job from a company in a city that was a 4-hour drive from my house. So their corporate offices were 4 hours away for me to drive. But we had people working from all over the world. My team, I have 5 people reporting to me. One of them lived in Phoenix, Arizona. One of them lived in Seattle. One lived in Buffalo, New York. One in Rochester, New York. And somebody from like may have been Argentina. I don't even know. And everybody had their own arrangements on like when they worked and what days they had off and this and that and time zones. And Arizona doesn't do daylight savings time, so you got to factor that in. Like it was like if I needed to get all 5 people in on a Zoom meeting together, I had like 2 half-hour windows in a 5-day work week where I could actually schedule them all in and they'd all be available. But it was a new job. Work from home, 100% work from home. Got a 21% increase in pay with the new job from where I was at the previous job that fired me for not taking the COVID shot. But because of that shit with the COVID shot and everything that we had been put through for the last 2 years, I was so fucking angry about everything that we had been put through for the last 2 years, including getting fired for the COVID shot, that 3 months into my new job, let me back this up. 3 months into the new job, I was doing so good that they gave me a 4% increase in my pay after only 3 months. So I was making like 135 grand a year and they bumped me up to 140. But remember, I'd just been unemployed for 4 months actually. I had to sell a car just to be able to make my rent payment. I had $10,000 in credit card debt because that's how I was surviving being unemployed. But in the 4 months I was at the new job, I had paid that down to $6,000. I was paying $1,000 a month on the credit card debt. I was only like 6 months away from having it wiped clean and back to zero and having 20 grand in available credit with no utilization. I could have gone out and bought a house at that point. Everything was going right. And then they raided Donald Trump's house in Florida. And I was so fucking pissed about everything I'd been put through that for whatever reason, I snapped and just ran my fucking mouth on Gab, Twitter. You know, it's called Gab, but nobody knows what Gab is. So, you know, it's like when you tell people you're from New York and they assume you're from New York City and you got to spend 20 fucking minutes. No, Rochester's a different city. It's not Buffalo, Rochester. No, not Manhattan, Rochester. So you just say, fuck it, I'm from New York. I don't even care what you think anymore. So that's why I say Twitter post. But either way, I made social media posts that were angry and fucking crazy. And I was venting out my frustration about this shit fucking government, creepy ass hair sniffing, child molesting Joe Biden and everything that he fucking did to me. Caused me to fucking not have a job for 4 months. I got fired 2 weeks before Christmas for not taking a COVID shot from a remote job where I worked from home from day one. And that was still a remote job. That wasn't a remote job because of COVID. That was a remote job because that's how it was from day one, way before the COVID scam. So anyway, even though everything was going great in my life, I had another bump. I had a high-paying job. I was making some big money. Everything was going right. But I watched that news report of Donald Trump's house getting raided after the stolen election. And, you know, look, listen to me. I just spent the whole first half of this fucking show talking about what a stupid-ass idiot and backstabbing piece of shit Donald Trump is. So it's not like I had high hopes for the guy. But I also know that the 2020 election was stolen. The COVID shit was a total scam. Everything, the police state, the lockdowns, all that shit, I was done. And I'm finally ready to just lash out and say some pretty awful things. But I'm not the only one who was running my mouth that week. They just decided to, let's go after this guy, make an example out of him, drive a tank into his fucking house, drag him off to federal prison for saying words, for words. Let the Jeffrey Epstein clients keep raping the fucking kids while we're at it. And we'll throw this guy in prison for 2 years, take away everything he owns, and then when he gets out of the joint, we'll force him to be homeless for the next 5 months. And that'll tell everybody to shut the fuck up, won't it? We'll make an example out of him. So, yeah, I'm like Nelson Mandela. I was a political prisoner. And look at where Mandela ended up. He ended up president of South Africa. So I was a political prisoner for 2 years, locked up for a fucking Twitter post in federal prison. Maybe I'll get to be president someday. Vote for me. Well, I mean, what's your fucking choice? Orange, dumbass, piece of shit buffoon Donald Trump, or some fucking retarded ass Democrat, or some guy who just doesn't give a fuck. And I don't even care. I'll speak out. I'm not sending you your kids to go die for Israel. That's for fucking sure. I'll probably get shot in the head for that. And then whoever my vice president is will have to fucking do as he's told. I'm not going to be the one doing it, though. So vote for me. Vote for me. Fuck it. I'll snort cocaine off a hooker's tit in the Oval Office and tell everybody I fucking did it. What are you going to fucking do? At least I told you the truth. Like, how much worse could it fucking be if you vote for me? That's my campaign slogan. Isn't that like the perfect slogan? How much worse could it possibly be? Vote for me. Vote for me. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at right now. I was a political prisoner for 2 years for a Twitter post. And now look at me. I'm in the fucking White House, bitch. I gave myself a pardon. I'll give myself a fucking pardon. Donald Trump ain't giving me no pardon. I'll wait until I'm elected and I'm sitting in the Oval Office. That'll be my first fucking act right there. Adam gets a fucking pardon. And then if Hillary Clinton's still out there, she's actually going to jail this time. That bitch her days are done. Donald Trump told that fucking cunt 10 years ago, if I were president, you'd be in jail. That bitch isn't in jail, is she? 10 fucking years gone by. She's still not in jail. Donald Trump, I'm not going to start any new wars in the Middle East. Well, I ran your gas prices up this week, according to the sticker on all the fucking gas pumps. Like, what else is this motherfucker going to do to stab us in the back? I mean, we're like barely a year and some change into this shit show. We got like 3 more years of this motherfucker left. What the fuck is he going to do? What is he going to do? He's a loose cannon. He's completely lost his fucking marbles. He's a fucking psychotic nut job now. But I don't want to go too far away from the topic, so we're just going to leave it at that. Well, maybe I'll make Donald Trump's a fucking nut job the topic of the live stream in a few weeks. But back to the employment, blah, 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 whatever. Like I said, I found a new job, 21% pay increase, then another 4% after 3 months. And then a month later, the FBI drove a tank into my house. The end. That's it. Now I can't even get a job at Burger King making $10 an hour. I can't get a job at Target. Couldn't get a job at Ollie's. Couldn't get a job. I got turned down for 2 6-figure jobs after I had the contracts in my hand and I was signing all the paperwork. And they're like, oh, we got to do a background check. And I'm like, well, here's all that paperwork back because I'm not going to need to do this. And that was that. So my career is over. So at this point, I can say whatever the fuck I want. So now I've shared my stories. I told you, I'm telling you, Glenn Beedshaw, you got a lot to say. So I don't get to see everything you write, but, you said you'd never gone wrong by leaving a crappy company. I'll tell you this. I have never one time, if I make the right decision when I'm faced with a choice that human resources wants me to zig and I decide to zag and go the opposite way, every fucking time I have ever done that in my career, I've been rewarded for it every single time. Every single time I've gotten a reward for doing the wrong thing, which was actually the right thing. So by getting fired for not taking the COVID shot, which was the right thing to do, I could have got a fake. I mean, dude, I'm a graphic designer for fuck's sake. Do you think it's hard to let's take a look at the fucking vaccine card here. Hold on. Let's look at the image here just so you see it. Yeah, here we go. Perfect. Open image in new tab. All right, share my screen. Here we are. Do you honestly think I would have had to spend more than 4 minutes as an expert graphic designer to forge my fucking COVID-19 vaccine card to keep my job? That would have taken me about 5 minutes in Photoshop. I could have taken this fucking screenshot right here, put my name at the top with a handwriting. I could have used a fucking handwriting font instead of actually writing it by hand, where like each, like ADAM, the two A's are identical, where if it was really handwritten, they would have differences between them. I could have used a fucking handwriting font to fake my COVID-19 vaccine card, handed it to fucking HR, and I would have never gotten in trouble. And if they caught me, I'd have told them to go fuck themselves. Like, why? What the fuck? But I didn't. I said no. I said no because it was wrong. I said no because it's none of their fucking business what shots that I stuck into my body. And you don't get to fucking tell me what needle I got to put in my fucking arm to keep my job. That's not your fucking decision. That's my decision. So I told him I told 150 people in a Zoom meeting to go choke on a fucking dick. No regrets. And 4 months later, I went from making 105 grand a year to 135 grand a year because I got a new job. Out the door, you make more. Once again, how many times have I said out the door, make more today? Over and over and over again. It's not, I took a couple of pay cuts in my career for those pay cuts usually turn into pay increases over a short period of time. And sometimes they were just strategic moves that I made because I was getting something for it. Peace of mind, experience, knowledge, whatever the case. There was something about it that was worth the few $1,000s less that I was making. And then eventually I made more because of it. The reason why I was making so much money at the end of my career was because I went from being a graphic designer to a web designer, doing all kinds of interactive media. Then I learned how to be a high-end programmer, like a really top-notch front-end developer for 6 years straight at a level of like what Amazon or any of these big companies like Facebook, X, I could do any of those jobs. The programming, the front-end developer jobs at those companies, I could run that shit. And then I went back to being a user experience designer, combining all my graphic design skills, my user experience knowledge, which is different than graphic design. Usability is a different skill. Using my management skills and my programming skills. So if I'm in a room with a bunch of fucking programmers who are arguing with me that something can't be done, I'll be like, here, hold my beer, motherfucker. I'll write the code myself and prove to you that you're full of shit because I know what I'm doing. So that commanded a lot of money because of that knowledge. And so, yeah, I took a pay cut at one point in time to go to be a programmer for 6 years. And then that paid off in spades 5-10 years down the road. That was a decision that paid me 5 to 10 years down the road after I'd made that decision. It just took a while and that experience made me way more valuable than someone who had nothing but graphic design experience under their belt, and companies would hire me left and right because of all that knowledge together. Being in one person made me a lot more valuable. And then I could just, call my own shots. Except for I did call my shots because I didn't take the fucking shot and I got sent packing. But I called my shots, the shots I didn't take. You don't always got to shoot your shot to win the game. In fact, I haven't had a heart attack since ever. So, anyway, I'm going to talk about some other people's stories. and talk about what they go, what their experience is with the same kind of thing. Just a few little tidbits here and there. Let's talk about my daughter. My daughter was working at a job. She was telling me that she never got a raise. She couldn't get a raise. She tried for a couple of years to get a raise. They wouldn't bump her pay up at all. She put in her 2-week notice one day. And all of a sudden they offered her a raise. Pretty decent one. What have I, and my daughter always calls me when she has these things going on because she knows that dad's a player and he knows how to play the game. And like, so she always asks me for advice when it comes to like how to negotiate and how to like this. She knows dad don't fuck around with this kind of stuff and dad don't give a fuck. And like, we'll get into arguments because, you know, she's like, well, your career is different than mine and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, people are people. You're a psychologist. You should know this. It's all the same game. It's just a different, you might have to do different. It's the same game. Case in point, my daughter tried to get a raise for a long time. They wouldn't do shit. Puts in her 2-week notice. All of a sudden they give her the raise that she wanted. She didn't accept it. She said no. And then she actually took a job making less money. So that in an attempt to be happier, same thing. More money doesn't always make you happy. I've taken pay cuts to get out of a bad situation just so that I can have my sanity back. Sometimes that's the best move. And sometimes when you make that move and you take 2 steps back, it don't take long before you make 10 steps forward. You might take a pay cut to go work at another company, but then get a raise that's big enough to make the new job worth it. And you might end up making more than your previous job, or you just use it as a stepping stone. And then the next job, maybe you stay at the new company with a pay cut for a year, and then you jump ship to a new job making 20, 30, 40% more than the job you previously left. And you end up being ahead of the game. But you got to take your sanity back for a year by working for the job that didn't stress you out as much, even though it paid less. So anyway, my daughter puts in a 2-week notice. They give her a raise, offer her a raise, and she bounced. She said, no, I'm good. See ya. But she called me to let me know, you know, to talk me so I could talk, so she could talk through it with me, vent and all that stuff. And the last time I was talking to my daughter, I'm like, wait, you left on good terms? Like they were like, she said her old job keeps calling her, wanting her to come back, trying to entice her to come back. And I'm like, well, the way you were talking to me about the place, it sounded like you were going to go all ghetto on them. Like Tupac in the beginning of that song, motherfucker. West side when I fucked your bitch or whatever, you know, I don't know the words, but I thought she was going to go all fucking ghetto and throw a tantrum when the way she was talking to me about it. She's like, no, dad, I was just venting. Kind of like when Adam was just venting on Twitter or Gab when the FBI decided to drive a tank into his fucking house. But anyway, but see, that's the thing. I told her, I said, you made the right move by saying no to the raise, because when this has happened to me, the company that fired me for not taking my COVID shot, I quit. And they talked me into staying and they gave me like a $15,000 a year raise. But then you're marked. You're basically, they give you, what happens is you put in your 2 weeks, they give you a raise and entice you to stay. And you say, okay, never mind, I'll stay. But all they were doing was giving you a raise so that they could get you to stay long enough so that they can find your replacement, get your replacement up to speed, and get your replacement used to, you know, working there and make sure it's all going to work out and whatnot. And then when it's time to call the herd, you're getting sent out the door because you've been marked. You have a black mark from HR for being disloyal. Well, obviously, if she liked to work here, she wouldn't have put in her 2-week notice and been disloyal to us. And so you are marked. If you do, so if the company tries to entice you to stay, in the situation I was in, I quit without having another job lined up. I was just like, fuck it, I quit. Like one day I got so mad at them that I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm done. And I was like, done. I was like, I'll come down tomorrow and bring my laptop in and I'll just call it a day because I'm good. And I had enough money saved up that I could have lasted a few months and figured something out if I was just, careful. So I was like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need to do this. Fuck it. Fuck you. I'm done. Well, they talked me into staying, gave me a 15,000 a year raise. And I'm like, I didn't have another job. So I'm like, well, you know what? Fuck it. I'll take the raise for a while and I'll keep looking for another job and I'll keep trying to figure this shit out. But I took the extra money and had fun with it. Went on a lot of photography trips, kind of just stopped giving a shit about the job. I did what they call quiet quitting, but I did it with more money. I was getting paid to quiet quit instead of actually quitting without making money. You know what I mean? Like, so that's how I did it. But when they started with the Kool-Aid cult, the Jim Jones vaccine cult, and I knew where everything was going, I did what I had to do to keep the job, but I knew how it was going to end. In fact, March 13th, 2020, on Friday the 13th, I told the whole group of people that I was going to be fired from this job for not taking the vaccine. And that was day one of the COVID scam. That was the first day of the scam. They didn't have a vaccine. And I said I was going to get fired from this job for not taking the vaccine. I said the whole thing's going to turn into a cult. Everything I fucking said about that shit to those people on that day came true. Down to the exact fucking words. Every single thing that I said was about to happen happened. Exactly how I told them it was going to happen. It sucks to always be right. It sucks, but you do what you got to do. Anyway, so the whole thing that triggered this topic was I was watching a YouTube video about this subject. And the video was basically just a critique of corporate culture, especially with compensation. I don't remember the name of the title of it. I can't put a link in the description. I honestly don't even know where I did such a good job with notes that I didn't even put a link to the fucking video in my notes. So we're done. I don't know. But it's basically a video about corporate compensation and performance reviews. And the whole video was about what I'm telling you, staying loyal to a company long-term, like the 30-year career of the past, is financially disadvantageous compared to job hopping every few years. The video had a relatable annual review scenario to expose how the system is rigged against employees who stay. And the key points were the annual raises, as we know now, are fixed and low, like 3%, 2% per year. And your performance doesn't matter. The person who's like a 2-star employee and a 5-star employee, they both got a 2% raise. Maybe the 5-star employee got a 3% raise and everybody else got a 2% raise. You might save the company hundreds of thousands of dollars, deliver major projects, but everybody from top performers to the underachievers and the people who don't give a fuck, they all get the same 3%, 2% raise. And after inflation, you're actually losing money. You're getting a pay cut. When you get your 2% raise and the price of fucking groceries went up 30%, price of gas went up 30%, your rent went up 20%, whatever the fuck, your mortgage, whatever the fuck it is, everything went up. A fucking Ford F-150 is $100,000 now. A pickup truck costs fucking... Remember when $100,000 car was like a luxury sports car, like a fucking McLaren or a Ferrari or something like that? Now it's a Ford pickup truck. Your 2% raise ain't gonna fucking get you there. You can't even get a goddamn Honda Civic now with your 2% raise because the Civic's gonna be $90,000 in 5 years. You're gonna have to take out... Donald Trump's given us a 50-year mortgage for our homes. You're going to be taking out a fucking mortgage to buy a car. You're going to be taking out a 30-year mortgage from the car dealership to get a fucking car now. Your Honda Civic will be 30-year mortgage capped at 22% interest. Like, you're fucked. You're all fucked. And it's going to be a car with all kinds of big brother bullshit to track everything you do, and a fucking breathalyzer that you got to blow into to start your car, because even, people even without a DUI, they're just going to make it mandatory. And it's got eye tracking shit and all this other big brother crap. And they have a remote button to shut your car off whenever they want. You don't pay your engine subscription or your your air subscription for your tire. They can shut off your car from the dealership, all that crap. You're not keeping up with inflation. And these systems that these companies do for the annual report, the annual raise, and the annual performance review, it's just a bunch of fucking bullshit. It's predetermined, and it's engineered to fuck you and to put more hookers and blow on the CEO's desk. We've already talked about the difference in pay between an employee and a CEO. Back in the 50s, it was like the CEO made 20 times more than the average employee, and now it's 200 times more than the average employee. A lot of hookers and blow for the CEO, but nothing for you. You ain't getting shit. You can't even afford the blow or the hooker. So, the budgets for the pay raises are set in January. And before you even do the work for the year, they already know what they're going to pay for raises. And it's just going to be a fixed percent that they decide on, a pool, like 3% across the board. It's not based on any performance. If it was based on performance, they'd wait until the end of the year and figure out who deserves more and who deserves less. Instead, they figure out the pay raises in January, and then the work is done all the way through the end of the year, and then you might get your fucking bullshit raise. And they just use like a curve. Performance ratings used a forced bell curve. So that if you're a manager, now if I had a team, I've been on teams where 20 people are all 5-star, top of the line, kick-ass employees that all deserve to be rated 5 stars. I've been on teams like that. Okay, let me think. The last time I had employees, I had 5. 5-star. Okay, I didn't get along with this guy very well, but 5-star. He was a 5-star, and 5-star, 4-star, 3-star. What's the other one? 5. But I've also been on teams where I'm like on a team of like 10 or 15 people. Everybody's a 5-star employee, like top notch shit. When it's time, when you're the manager of a 10-person team, you're required to only give like maybe 3 people a 5-star rating, and everybody else has got to get a 3 or a 2. And you have to give people a 2 or a 1. You have to pick people on that team to give them a shitty performance review, even if everybody on your team was a stellar performer at a 5. Because you're forced, you're given like a budget of points. So somebody has to get voted off the fucking island. It's like Survivor. So it ends up being who's friends with who and who's the, it ends up being political. Who, if you went and gave the boss a blowjob under his desk last week, you got a 5. Well, maybe there's another employee on your team who deserved a 5, and maybe that whore deserved a 4. But she got the 5 and the other guy got a 3 because he had to give somebody a 3. So it ended up being that guy because maybe they don't hang out and drink beers like he does with the other ones. And it's all that kind of shit. It has nothing to do. If the boss could do what he wanted, he would give the people that deserve a 5. And the whore would get a 5. But he's not allowed to. So only certain people can get a 5. And the ratings are basically structured around like who gets what percent bonus. So a 5-star employee might get a 4% raise. A 3-star might get a 2% raise. 2 stars and 1, you get nothing. You don't get a raise. And so these performance reviews are just theater. They're not real. They have nothing to do with how good you were or how bad you were. It was just some shit. They came up with your fucking performance review in January. They already knew what they were gonna. They knew your review. It's like voting. The people that control the election They know who wins the election like 3 months before you fucking peasants go and vote. Well, they know who got the good performance reviews before you did the work, and who got the bad performance review before you even do the work. And they set you up throughout the year to just fit into that mold they already put you in. Just like they pretend to have a fucking election and they pretend to count the ballots and all that when the fucking election was decided like 3 months ago. Loyalty punishes you over time. We've talked about this, beating a dead horse today. Your market salary, the market rate for your job rises much, much faster than the 2% raise that you get every year. So every year you fall behind. So a new hire, fresh off the street, might make twice as much as you do. You've been at that place for 10 years. Someone's in the cubicle right next to you with the same job title, with the same job responsibilities. In fact, you have twice as many job responsibilities as they do because you've been there for 10 years. That new person makes twice as much as you do on day one because you're a fucking idiot and you decided to sit there and take it. A coworker who switched jobs twice gained 55% total salary increases versus, your 2% per year. We already talked about the amount. If you stay at a job for 20 years, making a start at 50 grand, you stay for 20 years, 2% raise every year. After 20 years, you're making 74 grand. Job hop every 3 years, get yourself a 30% raise every time you do. At the end of that 20 years, you're making 214 large. Do the fucking math. The math ain't mathin' if you stay at the job, is it? For 20 fucking years, you stay at the same job. That math ain't mathin' very good for you, huh? No, not at all. I'm the guy you want to fucking talk to when it comes to HR, not these fucking HR cunts that got their fucking YouTube channels telling you how to kiss HR's ass and keep your fucking job. They're going to tell you to do the opposite of everything I've fucking told you to do for the last 3 hours. And you're going to be stuck at some shitty ass job for 20 fucking years, getting a 2% raise every year. So you can't even afford to keep up with inflation, while people who break the rules are making 200 large by, playing smart. They say, don't work hard, work smart. Don't hate the fucking player, hate the fucking game. That's how it goes. Don't hate the player, hate the game. And the game is a brutal, brutal playing field. Sorry to say, you got to do what you got to do. Counter offers from inside the company, one like we were talking about, they only come when you threaten to leave. And even then, it may not be a match. Like they may not match your new job salary, but they'll say, well, this is the best we can do to get you to stay. And then, like I said, you're blacklisted at that point as a flight risk. And they are going to be looking for your replacement. And I'd say if you do that, if you go and get a new job and then you use that to get a raise from your current employer, you're marked for death. You've got 3 to 6 months. So if you say no to the new job, don't do that, by the way. Don't listen to any. That's like the scenario with the wife. Their douchebag husband, drives a Dodge Ram pickup truck. And he comes home and he beats the shit out of her every day. And she falls in love with, she finds a new guy who's going to treat her right. And so she's going to get divorced from the Dodge Ram pickup driving wife beater piece of shit and go shack up with this new guy who's going to treat her good, treat her with respect. And maybe he makes more money than the Dodge Ram pickup driving wife beating scumbag. But the Dodge Ram driving wife beater scumbag decides, well, I'm gonna treat my lady right tomorrow, and I'm gonna take her out to a nice lobster dinner, And I'm going to do, you're going to do a couple of nice things. I'll buy her some jewelry and some other shit. Buy her that fucking car that she wants, or, whatever it is. And then she goes, oh, I guess I'll stay. And then like 6 months later, Dodge Ram asshole driving up the fucking driveway, blowing a big black cloud of smoke out the back of the truck, squealing his fucking tires, slams the fucking door, runs into the house, punches his wife in the face. Now she got another broken nose. Right back to where you fucking were. Don't fucking say yes to the company that wants to keep you around by offering you a raise. It's the wife beater that buys you a nice fucking necklace to say he's sorry for beating the shit out of you and breaking your cheekbones last week. Don't fucking fall for that shit. And the fucked up thing, now that he knows you want to leave him for another woman, or I mean, when he knows that you want to leave him for another man who's going to treat her right, now he's going to go out and start fucking a bunch of whores behind your back. And then he's going to find a whore that doesn't mind getting the shit beat out of her. Or maybe he doesn't beat the shit out of her yet, and he tricks her into coming to live with him, and he kicks you out to the fucking curb and divorces you because you're marked as a flight risk, because now he knows you want to leave. But he still wanted to get that pussy, and he still needs to have a wife to beat the shit out of for a while. So he keeps you around until he gets a new one. And then he kicks you to the curb. That's what the company's going to do. I mean, it's the same fucking thing. Relationships and jobs, the job market and the dating market are the exact same thing. All the same rules apply. Everything I've told you today applies to dating and going to find a job. Executives and the leavers, the people who leave the company, and the executives, the people at the top with their golden parachutes, the people that somehow get a raise, the people that I used to work for that caused their stock price to go from $18 a share to 6 cents per share, they all got a big fucking raise for that. They got raises for that. The rest of us got fucked. It was their fault. It wasn't our fault. In fact, the marketing department that I worked for was the only reason the company was still in business, because we were still able to get people to buy their dumbass shit. Even though they were fighting us tooth and nail to sink the fucking company at every turn. And we were saying, no, don't do that. That's fucking stupid. They go and do it anyway, and then the company fucking sinks. It's like saying, don't hit that iceberg. And the guy's like, fuck you, I'll hit what I want. Boom, Titanic hits the iceberg. Everybody dies. But the rich people were the ones that got on the lifeboats, weren't they? You fucking poors, they locked you in the fucking basement of the Titanic and let you drown. You're at the bottom of the fucking ocean right now, right next to those idiots that took that fucking PlayStation controller sub down there to take a look at it, and boop, they're gone. Executives get much higher pay increases year after year, whether their company's in the toilet or not. It's called a golden parachute for a reason, and they got contracts. That's why when the fucking banksters in 2008 destroyed the fucking economy and got bailout money from the government, they used the bailout money to give themselves hundreds of millions of dollars in bonuses while the employees were sent to the curb. Executives get 10 to 30% pay increases year after year, whether the company does good or sinks. Doesn't even matter. Once again, it has, just like your 2% raise has nothing to do with how good of a job you do. The CEO gets more, he gets 30% increase in hookers and blow, whether he sinks the company or makes it swim. Don't fucking matter. They get paid. Job hoppers capture the market rate job jumps. 20, 25%, sometimes 40 or 50% for a job hop. While the people who stay, the loyal little fucking sheep that HR just loves, HR loves you people. You loyal employees, you get your 2% fucking raise every year, but inflation is going to be like, it's 4.5% inflation with your 2% raise. You're losing money every fucking year you stay at that job. So The system rewards leaving, not loyalty. Get that in your head. Companies know your market value. They know what the market value is for your job. But they cap you at what they hired you at because you're stupid enough to accept it. And they know they can get away with it. That's why HR tells you not to share your salary with other employees. They don't want you getting together with the new hire that makes twice as much as you for the same job title you've been working there for 10 years to get, and then have you march down to HR's office pissed off saying you want to make the same as that person or you're going to leave. But you have to tell them you're going to leave in order to get the bump in the pay that you're looking for. And then once again, like I told you, once you tell them you're out the door, even if they convince you to stay, they're only keeping you long enough to find your replacement and then send you to the curb because you've been branded a disloyal employee, a flight risk, somebody who isn't trustworthy anymore, someone who's looking to leave the first chance they get. And it's fucking common sense. It's common fucking sense. It's like going to buy a fucking car at a dealership. If you get, okay, if a Ford F-150 costs $100,000 now, and you go to another dealership and they're offering you the same exact pickup truck, the same exact color, package, add-ons, everything, and they're $80,000. Are you going to be loyal to the fucking dealership that's trying to shaft you for $100,000? Or are you going to go buy the truck for $80,000 and save $20,000? What the fuck is it? What's the difference between that and a fucking job? If job A wants to pay you $50,000 for the fucking job that you do, and job B says, come over here, we'll give you 90, are you going to fucking be loyal to that? No, you're never going to fucking, like, some people might. But you're fucking retarded if you do that. You're fucking retard if you do that. I hate to be that fucking blunt. Actually, I love being that blunt because that's who I am. But I'm just saying, like, that is the real fucking deal. And I might be the only guy who will give it to you straight and not beat around the bush and not fill you with a bunch of bullshit and a bunch of dumbass rules that you're supposed to follow that are actually fucking you. I'm here to tell you that you need to break those rules. Whatever HR tells you to do the opposite. You'll be better off. 100%. Recent data shows that the average U.S. merit raises around 3 to 3.6% in 2024 to 2025, which is below inflation. While job switchers historically gained larger bumps, though the gap has narrowed recently, it's not as good as it used to be because the job market's shit right now. A lot of your jobs, like the AI robots, they decided, like we were told, Gen X, man, we were told when we were kids that we were all going to have robots to do our fucking chores, wash our dishes, do all this bullshit that nobody wants to do, mow our lawns and all that kind of crap, so that we could focus on finer things in life like art and writing and music and the higher level thought things in life. And what did they go and fucking do? Well, the only fucking robot they gave us to do our chores is that stupid little fucking Roomba thing that goes around and bounces off the fucking walls and doesn't even clean up any dirt off the floor. That's the closest thing we got to a fucking robot to do our fucking chores. But they're putting together a bunch of robots to do all the jobs that we wanted to do, like writing the music and writing the stuff and taking the photography and doing all the art and doing all the programming and doing all the thoughtful stuff and all the stuff that actually took thought and skill. They're taking away all those jobs so that we can all be a bunch of fucking serfs doing a bunch of fucking chores, because they're not going to come up with a bunch of fucking robots to do the chores. They're doing the opposite of what they told us it was going to be. We were supposed to be going around in flying cars, have a fucking robot made when I get home that already had dinner made. And I mean, with the technology that's out right now, that robot made could be a sex robot that's probably better than your wife. You can get like 6 different models for the vagina. One's like the tornado, one's the super suction, one's the claw, like whatever you're into, like they got like 6 different models just for the vagina. You get to, it's like that movie Weird Science where the kids made Kelly LeBrock from a fucking computer program, and they basically made this hot chick, and then she showed up, and she was real. That's what we could have. Where, I mean, Elon Musk probably already has like 6 of these things at his house, but you know, for the rest of us, I don't know. We got to wait. There's going to be like some weird ass fucking Epstein Island like place with a bunch of little kid robots that all the billionaires go and stick their wieners into. And then they're like, that's cool because they're just robots. Like there's some weird shit coming our way, but we're definitely not getting the fucking robots that we were promised. We're not getting the flying car. I don't want people to have flying cars. These motherfuckers can't even drive on the road. I was going down Route 45 one day on my way to the bakery, and these fucking drivers are so fucking bad. Traffic was all backed up on Route 45. There was like a 45-minute wait, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to be late. And as we're creeping along, 17 fucking lane wide road, all to a standstill because of an accident. And you could see some flashing lights up in the distance. And I'm like, fuck, here we go. May as well put on a YouTube video or something and just chill in the car watching TV because I ain't going nowhere. Well, I finally get up to where the fucking accident was. And there's guess what kind of pickup truck it was? Take a wild guess. Take a wild in the chat. Y'all know what kind of pickup truck it was. Somebody leave it in the chat before I tell you. I'm going to give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you guessed Dodge Ram, you would have guessed correctly. Some fucking piece of shit in a Dodge Ram pickup truck. There was a fucking pickup truck in a tree. The fucking pickup truck in a fucking tree. And not hit the tree, in the fucking tree. And I'm like, boy, you fucking didn't think that one through, did you? Whatever the fuck you just did to do that. A Dodge Ram pickup truck in a fucking tree. Like I've seen people hit trees. I've never seen a car in the fucking tree. And I'm just like, wow, this is some wild shit. I've never seen worse drivers in my life. Never seen worse drivers in my life than Houston, Texas. Not even, I'm not talking about, I think the worst 2 places I've ever driven in my life maybe would be San Juan, Puerto Rico was the worst place I've ever driven. The craziest fucking place I ever drove a car. Other than that, you got your typical things like Manhattan, New York City, things like that. But no, Houston blew that shit out the fucking water. Not even close. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, good being a 1, bad drivers being a 10, San Juan, Puerto Rico is like a 2, where Houston is a 10. Houston blew the fucking scale so far off the rails that all the other places combined fit in. Like, you can't even see the difference between all the other places because they're so close together on the scale, because Houston just blew the fucking lid off of it. Like, I've never even seen anything like this place when it comes to bad drivers. Not even like, I'm like blown away. I'm blown away. And I've seen some crazy shit in my day, but Houston, next level fucking insane. And I ride my bike in this shit not every day, every week. I did a 50-mile bike ride on Monday to the bakery and back. Some of that was I was on this one fucking road. People have got 2 fucking lanes to get around me, and they're still honking at me, throwing shit at me, middle fingering me, and calling me a fucking asshole, even though they had 2 fucking lanes to get around me. They could get in the left lane and be a whole lane away from me, but that was still too much for them to see a fucking guy on a bicycle. My middle finger's like this the whole time I ride. I got to ride with one hand. Everywhere I go in Houston, I'm basically riding a bike with one hand because the other hand is like this the whole fucking time. I can't even put my middle finger away. I can't. I got to grab my hand. Fuck. I got to pull it back out. Go shift to get. Fuck. I got to do it again. Get down there. Oh, fuck you. Motherfucker, I can grab my handlebars just long enough to shift gears and to like squeeze the brakes every now and then, but usually my middle finger's like this the whole fucking time. I need to get, they make these fucking lights that you can put on your backpack, and it's basically a light up hand, and you can push a button to make it go like that. But it's a light up hand. It's like LED lights or something like that. And you can make it go like that, and it turns into that when you push a button. So I can or you can just like leave it turned off. And when you want to flick somebody off, you just hit a button and it goes beep like that. So, so that, you know, I might need to get one of those. But I mean, I got better shit to do with money. Like get a couch from Amazon and have that all screwed up. Like I was saying at the beginning of the show, Mercury retrograde. I ended up getting the wrong fucking, I ended up getting the wrong couch. The couch, the description that I clicked on, the link said 63 inches wide. And then I find out today that, oh, your 72-inch couch is on the way. I'm like, fuck. So I went and ordered the 63-inch couch, and they're supposed to be here at the same time on Friday, at which point I can just run to Whole Foods with the wrong couch and get my refund. I tried to cancel the order. It was too late. Tried to talk to Ranjit out in India, customer service, or Sanjay or Ranjit or Swamihara or whatever the fuck his name was, but he wouldn't fix it. Couldn't fix. Told me, well, the Indian guy, so AI bot would be better to chat with, because the Indian guy said he fixed the problem and my order was canceled. And then right when he said that, an email showed up in my email box saying, sorry, we couldn't cancel the order. So shit's on the way. There's nothing I can do. The only thing that's going to happen is when I get it, it goes right back to Whole Paycheck Foods, and they scan it, and I get my refund processed. And so I'll probably be all good. But I would have kept the wrong couch, but my space is so tight in here that the difference between 63 inches and 72, which is 9 inches, it was too big for the space. I would have to not have an end table next to my bed for my phone, my charging stand, a lamp, you know, different random things that I might want to have next to my bed. And so I'm like, yeah, I can't do that. Plus I need like a little table next to the couch for whatever. And so I don't know. Once I get my place all tidied up and get the couch in and figure it all out, it's the last item on my list that I had. When I moved in here, I created this list of everything I wanted to do to design my space. And granted, my lease is up at the end of May. And here I am, like 2 months away from the end of my lease, and I will finally have crossed off everything that I planned on doing to this place the day I moved in, or like within about a week of moving in. I kind of like, in my mind, I planned it all out, exactly what I was going to do and how I was going to lay out the space. And I've stuck to that plan pretty much. Like I said, the only thing I'm missing is a couch. But, you know, if I want to hang out, if I want to have a girl come over here or something, I can't just be like, here's a bar stool and a fucking camping chair. Or we could just go jump into bed and, you know, skip Netflix and go straight to the chill. But, you know, that's just, I don't know. It doesn't hit right. You know what I mean? I got to have a fucking couch. And I've been putting it off for a long time, but this fucking camp chair that I sit in is falling apart. It's getting to the point where maybe 1 or 2 more ass drops with my fat ass, and it's going to go right through the bottom of the chair. So I got to do something about it. Honestly, it might fall apart tomorrow being Thursday night and the couch is supposed to be here Friday. Would not surprise me. Mercury retrograde. If Thursday night I go to sit and watch a fucking movie and my ass just goes boom right through the chair. And then what? I sit on a bar stool or this office chair. That's what I got. Or I lay in bed and turn the TV to face the bed, at which point I'm just going to fall asleep in 5 minutes. So it's exciting to know that it's not going to be a great couch. It's one of them boneless couches that come in a box this big. You cut the plastic open and the thing just goes boom and blows up and fills your room. Um, but it'll be fine for what I need. When I move into a real place someday, a real like house or whatever it is that I end up moving into down the road, it'll be something in like something off to the side, or like it's like a beanbag chair at that point. It's like, who knows what I'll do with it. I'll keep it. It's not, I don't know, unless it totally sucks, which it could. I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't totally suck. There we go. Chairs. Oh, there we go. That's a little better. All right. But yeah, I looked at couches on Facebook Marketplace. I got sick and tired of that. Facebook Marketplace is very flaky. I keep finding bicycle racks for my car. It's a $200 bike rack, but every time I search for it, I see them anywhere from $20 to $75 and up. But every time I find one for like 40, $50 or less, it's like an hour to an hour and a half drive to go get it, because Houston's a big city. And I'm like, fuck, I don't want to go all the way out there. And then this one showed up for $20, brand spanking new, right in the middle of the woodlands. So it was just some rich asshole bought this thing, never used it, probably still in the box, decided to put it up on Marketplace for $20 to get rid of it. Rich people do that all the time. It's one of the best things about living next to a rich neighborhood is they're always throwing away their shit for pennies on the dollar. And it's always like never been touched, never been used. So I've messaged this chick like 3 times, never get a response, but that's Facebook Marketplace. That's what the thing that sucks about Facebook Marketplace is. The app is a piece of shit. User experience, everything about the app is a complete piece of trash. Nobody wants to use Craigslist anymore because they want to go on Facebook Marketplace and do it there. But all the sellers are extremely flaky. Craigslist used to be the shit. You message some, I mean, people do flake out. It's part of the game. But I'm telling you, if you message 20 people on Facebook Marketplace about something they're selling, like I'm looking for like that bar stool that sits at my bicycle workbench behind me, the stool that I got for it, probably messaged 15 different people about stools that they were selling before one person fucking responded to me. Like, if you're trying to sell something and you never respond to the people that reach out to you, when I was looking for a place to live, it would be like 1 out of every 20 landlords that I would reach out to would actually send you a response. And then out of those, how many would actually, then like 1 out of every 5 of those would actually work out an arrangement to show me the place. And then, however many out of those would go to the next step. So the numbers game is horrid. Craigslist was never that bad, but I never find anything on Craigslist anymore when I look for anything. I can take that back because I did get my silver Specialized bicycle on Craigslist. But if I'm looking on both platforms, Facebook always has more stuff, but the sellers are so fucking flaky that you got to message like 20 people just to find one person who will still respond to you. I don't know if it's a Houston thing or if it's just the 2 different platforms and the kind of people. I don't know, but I hate Facebook Marketplace. But where else do you go? Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. That's it. If you're looking for like someone locally who might have what you need at a price that's good. Like, why would I go to a bicycle shop and pay $200 for a bicycle rack when I can get the same exact one for $20 from some rich bitch in the woodlands? No, never going to pay full price for that. What were we? Blue Sky was asking me about inversion tables last weekend. And I said, I used to have a Teeter Hangups inversion table. Those things are like $200 to $300. I got mine for $60 on Craigslist. We typed it up on Facebook Marketplace. Like 50 of them came up and they were all like $40 to $75 each. And these, once again, it's just a bunch of rich assholes. Somebody bought an inversion table, used it 4 times. put it up for sale because it sat in their fucking garage for a year and they never used it. That's the kind of stuff I will never pay full price for. Some things are worth paying full price for. I was looking for a couch and I was finding some nice ones, but in order for me to go get a couch, I got to find somebody with a pickup truck, or I've got to rent a pickup truck, or I've got to borrow a pickup truck from somebody. And I do have different options and different people I know, but it's coordination. Or I go to the U-Haul place and I got to pay $60 for a pickup truck for the day plus gas and whatever else, probably 60 to $100. So getting a couch, even if I get a good deal, I'm already in like $100 just for the transportation to do it. And, and I got to coordinate with some flake on Facebook Marketplace and coordinate that they're going to be there when they say they are, when I go rent this fucking, it just turned into a thing. And I'm like, I can get one of these fucking blow up couches that you pull out of a box and it just goes boom, and I can have it done. And if it totally sucks, I'll just sell it on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. I'll sell it and go get myself a different couch at some point. But Amazon let me do it on a payment plan. So I'm like, whatever, I don't got to pay for it all at once. I can pay for it over like 4 months. All right, fine, sold. We're done. Cross it off my list. Hopefully it's comfortable enough that if I stay here another 6 months, it'll be good. It'll be good and comfortable. I can watch some movies. I don't spend more than a couple hours at a time in front of a TV. Like tonight, it's already 9:00. I'm getting ready to peace out on you all, but I'm getting ready to peace out. It's been 3 hours, and you got your money's worth. But if you do want to get your money's worth, you want to get your $2 worth, sign up for the members only live stream, become a channel member. You can become an awesome channel member for $2 a month. I mean, fuck, what else are you going to buy for $2? You're going to get 4 members only live streams to chill and relax with your homies. All the OGs are in it. You think I have a filter now. Come to the members only live stream where Las Vegas rules apply, and whatever happens there stays there. I can say what I can take it to another notch from there. And if you're a high roller, you can pay $10 a month to join, and I'll give you like your own placard at the beginning of the show or something, but nobody's done that yet. I wasn't going to do the channel memberships. YouTube gave me a bonus for turning it on. It was like $600. Who's going to turn that down? It's free money. So, and then people decided to sign up. So I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. Let's have a members only live stream. We've got a Discord server. You can get in there and chat with all your people. When the show's not on, you still get to chat with everybody. I don't really get in there as much as I should. That'll probably change as time goes by, but right now I'm very busy. Every minute of the day I'm doing something until about 10, 11 o'clock at night. And then I just say I'm done. Most nights, some nights. I don't even get back from the gym a lot of nights until 11 o'clock at night. So like, it's like 11 o'clock usually when I sit down to turn on a TV and just veg out, because I can't just fall asleep. I got to like go from doing stuff to like vegetative state in front of a TV or something mindless, watch YouTube videos on my phone while I lay in bed or whatever, and then I can fall asleep. So there's like a transition period. That's what I need that couch for. And, like I said, if I want to have a friend over, be a female friend or a guy friend, anybody want to come over and just hang out for a minute, I'm going to need something besides a bar stool and a fucking camp chair. So here we are. Here we are. One step towards being a grown up. When I'm 50 years old, that's never a bad thing. And with that, I think I covered the topic pretty well today, at least from my perspective, because I've got tons of stories. I laid them down. Next week's episode, what are we going to do? I'm going to tell you right off the bat. Do we want to do... If you want to have a say, now would be the time. But let me take a look through my notes and see what I'm ready. Next week, I could do the topic could be right down the HR track that we're already on, and jobs and the economy and all that. Um, the title could be Tell the VP of HR to see you next Tuesday. And if you know what see you next Tuesday means, then you know. And if you don't, well, you don't. And so that would be basically more HR stuff. I've got a lot of stuff to talk about there. That's a topic I could cover. I could make a whole channel about this. Topic number 2. Ignorance of the law is no excuse for breaking the law. We'll start right off. The United States Code is about 60,000 pages long. Here, let me just go to the thumbnails here. We'll pick a thumbnail to go with it, because I got the thumbnails already for these. So this is the thumbnail image for the topic of tell the VP of HR to see you next Tuesday. You got this smug ass corporate bitch, boss bitch, corporate HR boss, the chief HR officer or whatever the hell that's called. But it's more about HR and the hiring process, and it's not really about money like this week's was. The ignorance of the law is no excuse, and that would be no excuse for breaking the law. Did you know the entire United States Code is about 60,000 pages if you were to print it out? And it would be a stack of paper 20 feet high if you printed it out on your printer at home. But you're supposed to know what's in it. You're supposed to know that. Ignorance, if you break any of those laws or you fuck up, they're gonna pull out a sheet of paper from that 20-foot tall stack of papers and say, well, ignorance of the law is no excuse for breaking the law. But the judge doesn't know, the lawyers don't fucking know, the cops don't know, nobody involved. The politicians, what did Nancy Pelosi say? Nancy Pelosi said, we got to pass that fucking law so we can find out what's in it. It's like, bitch, that's your fucking job, you fucking cunt. You're supposed to know what's in the fucking law before you pass it. But she was out there telling everybody about Obamacare. Oh, we got to pass that law so we can find out what's in it. So they don't even know. The people that write the laws don't know what the fuck's in it. Nobody knows what's in this shit. But you're supposed to know it, and ignorance of the law is no excuse for breaking the law. I got tons of notes. I could do 3 hours on that. No problem. We could talk about Gen X. Generation X is up to bat. Why? When Generation X is gone, you kids have no fucking chance. Because this is what we were grown up to live through. We were raised for this shit. We were raised for chaos. Our parents basically gave us a key to the house when we were 10 years old and said, see you when we get home. Good fucking luck. Don't burn the house down. That was how we were raised. And so that's why we can deal with the shit when the shit hits the fan, because we've been dealing, we had to raise ourselves from the time we were 10 fucking years old. So when it gets to the point where we're walking around smacking zombies in the face with a baseball bat covered in barbed wire, well, that's just another Tuesday for Gen X. You fucking kids, you're probably gonna, you might have a problem with that. Here's another option. We could do, are we living in a time warp? I've already talked about the time warp. And, are they using CERN, or are they, what are they doing to fuck with the time? I've got some theories on this. I've heard some theories that are interesting about, but why the fuck do we feel like a whole week goes by in the same amount of time that a day used to go by 10, 20 years ago? And even the little kids are saying this, that the days go by too fast and something's just weird. Here's a good one. Here's one that's going to get me thrown back in prison if I'm not careful. What's the penalty for treason? That's the title of this one. What is the penalty for treason? And, here we got a bunch of politicians ready to find out what the penalty for treason is. So that's a whole topic in and of itself. And then we've got other topics. We could talk about the Mandela effect. That kind of goes along with the time warp. I could do a whole show about other people, political prisoners, who went to prison for posting memes and Twitter posts. Because I'm not the only one, turns out. In fact, while I was in prison, the FBI went to another guy's house and killed him. And we still don't know why or what happened. They covered that up and won't talk about it. So right, Glenn, that's the whole point of the politicians on the gallows getting ready to get hanged after the tribunals or whatever, the QAnon tribunals for treason, which, we all know what QAnon is. It's Lucy holding the fucking football, and when Charlie Brown goes to kick it, they're going to get all the pedophiles are getting arrested. Whoop! Charlie Brown falls on his fucking ass, and then you see her 2 more weeks. So, anyway, I don't really have as many notes for that one. It's probably going to be, I might want to take a break from HR, and maybe we'll talk about, I think the next one might be ignorance is no excuse for the law, breaking the law, or Gen X. We can talk about Gen X. Save the time warp for another day because I already just did a whole video about that. Last week's walk through the park video was about that. But anyway, I'm hungry. I gotta go throw a fucking frozen pizza in the oven or something quick, something easy, so I can get my relax on for the night and just go back to another day of living the dream. So with that, thank you all for coming. Thanks for joining, all you channel members. Everybody out there who, the people I haven't seen, Cynthia Gibson, I haven't seen you in a bit, but I recognize your screen name from back in the day. You're one of the OGs. You've been around since the beginning. Justice 444A, you're lucky, Mr. Prepper. I got screwed so bad. I don't know what you mean by that, but that sucks. Feel free to hit me up. We can talk about it. 420 Braze it 5. What up? And I'm just going through the list. Glenn Beedshaw, you got a lot to say today. Man, you filled it up. Oh, there's Blue Sky. There you are. And bad toilet. Yeah, that sucks. It's Mercury retrograde, man. That would be the time for your toilet to break down. It's not electronic, but it fits right in. So anyway, thanks for coming out. Thanks for hanging out tonight. I'm doing all right. I'm bitching about things, but I was in 2 years ago today. I was in prison. Still had how many days? Still had to be in prison for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I had 8 more days of prison left. 2 years ago, I still had 8 more days to be in prison. And a year ago today, I was living in a fucking tool shed with a slumlord scam artist, convicted felon scam artist landlord who never fixed the hot water for the first 3 months that I lived there, and then tried to scam me and rip me off for the last month I was there. So I didn't have a car. I had to ride my bicycle 25 miles a day each way to a bakery job that I worked at 4 or 5 days a week. So, I mean, you want to hear me list out? I could talk for 3 hours about how much better life is right now than it was a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It keeps improving. But if you don't complain, if you don't get upset about the things that aren't going well, then you become complacent and you'll just accept things for the way they are when they could be much better. And with that, I'm just going to say, if I can say peace out with this hand and end the stream with the other, that's what I'm going to do. I'll see you all on Sunday for the members only. Later.